Let me tell you about an elf lord who stands out from the rest. He helped Frodo cross the ford because he's clearly the best. Don't tell me about Beowulf, he barely defeated Grendel. This guy took down a Balrog and his name is Glorfindel.
This episode of An Unexpected Podcast is brought to you by Rebecca Rovney, the new Brodo Swaggins. Thank you.
Hello, friends, and welcome to An Unexpected Podcast. I'm Ez.
And I'm Lane.
And we're talking Tolkien.
We're coming to you from the Shire of America, the beautiful state of Ohio, in a little village called Renita. Oh, shoot. Amanda.
What does that even mean? Renita?
It's the other thing we do in a different village. That other house we have?
Are you kidding? I don't know what's happening.
Nice cover up. Okay.
I don't know what's happening.
You're a wreck, dude.
Oh,
you're a wreck.
That's true. All right. This week, we're passing the buck as we catch up with the Grey Company in Chapter 2.
Yeah. Passing the buck.
Was that a quiz to see if I knew which chapter it was? Was that It's cool. This is the trip up. You know, he makes the doc and he leaves out the chapter number. It's totally a quiz. It was totally a quiz.
Well, so everyone knows, total clarity here. I was formulating this document an hour ago. So I usually don't wait that long, but I was full Butterbur mode, and you guys know how I can be. I don't like that, so I'm going from the strawberries with cream to dropping eaves.
I was just teasing,
Well, no, I am just explaining the glaring. The words aren't coming.
I was like, are you blinded by the glare of my glasses?
I see what you did there.
I've totally.
Your parts are all over the place.
Shame. Yeah, we literally are.
We are. We're in quick counsel already.
Yeah, we are.
My name's Eric.
And
I'm Eric Smith. And and what's your name?
I don't even know. I have no special name.
The Blackstone?
The Blackstone of Iraq.
Lineage.
Yeah.
That Blackstone is a mess. It's a wreck.
It really is. It really.
Think about it.
Are you okay?
I'm doing good.
Are you good?
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. That's fantastic.
Well, quick counsel over. Just kidding.
I'm fine. I'm doing wonderful.
Wouldn't people love that? The shortest of all time. Should we do it?
We can't.
I have nothing to say.
I have to be prepped for that kind of thing.
You have to be prepped to move on quickly?
Yeah, because I feel like I feel like there's more to say, and I wasn't ready for it to be quick. Like if you would have said ahead of time, hey, let's make this a quick counsel. It is quick counsel.
That's what it's called. The answers in the question, my friend.
All right. Well, anyways, I just wanted to say that we had a beautiful, wonderful conversation. With our friend Sheriston.
Yeah.
Wow. What do you gonna say? What do you gotta?
I was saying,
Yeah. It was.
I know. I was going to pass over that. Jeez.
Yeah.
In the name of keeping it brief.
Yeah, but I think it needs mentioned, right?
It absolutely does.
Okay, so it's going to be on Patreon, and it's a wonderful. One of our Valar patrons there. We've done some. We're trying to get some of the appendices done on recording nights, and
you're going a little nuts with appendices. There are chapters that have come out of the woodwork.
Yeah, we've got a lot of Discord chats going up and various things. So I'm kind of excited now that I've actually figured out how to record all of this and try to keep some form of structure. I think it's going to be really good. Yeah. So, we were excited to speak with her.
Got done talking to Sheriston, and it was just amazing. She, her closing remarks talking about our community that we have and just how cool it is to be an upper and, how that's all of us, how we feel so lucky and blessed and fortunate to call all of you our friends and to, talk with you once a fortnight and even more often and on Facebook and through emails and all that stuff. And it's just wild.
Yeah, I'll put it to you like this. Sheriston wasn't a wreck. Okay. No. She was fantastic.
She was very put together.
Yeah.
Unlike opposite of a wreck.
Right.
How often are we going to... Is that getting old yet, man?
I don't think so.
Are you wearing it out?
Not yet. Am I wearing it out? What's hilarious is that, if I use it, it's a problem. But Lane's going to use it entire...
Whoa, dude. You're a wreck over there.
I'm over the top.
An emotional wreck.
Let's get out of quick counsel because it's just...
Well, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm fantastic.
Nothing? Are you excited about anything like tomorrow that we're doing?
Yes, I am excited. Wow. I can't even reverse roles with you right now.
You know what's really weird is as we're recording this, it's tomorrow, but when you release this episode, it will have been yesterday.
True.
Dude.
That is messed up.
Let that sink in.
Yeah. So we are headed to an unexpected game night, which we thought was kind of funny because we expect
It's on a calendar, so
on
we've
the
been
calendar.
expecting it.
We expect to be there.
We'll be there with the Shire rats, right?
Yes, yeah. We get a little, just some fun hanging out with uppers. Did we talk about the Reds game that we went on? We did talk about that, right? With Kurt and
Yeah, we did.
Okay, Kurt and Kelly.
Did we?
I don't know that we did. I think as it kind of fell just at an odd time.
When
for
did we
for
record? We recorded with Mike the day after, so we probably did last time.
Right.
But
Our T was pretty low. We had low T, and we
Yeah.
just couldn't.
Minas Tirith has 2 T's, and one of them is a low T. So, and that's what we were talking about.
Yeah. So just shout out to Kurt and Kelly. So we had
Kurt, stay strong, man. All right.
a good time.
Let us know what you're on. Get us some of the same.
We're with you.
Oh my gosh! I just realized we have 2 T's in Talking Tolkien.
We do.
So 2 capital T's opposite of low T. Anyway, we were just talking about our testosterone levels, and how we're getting older, and the levels are probably dropping, and I don't know.
Something you got to check into.
I have a low T in my last name, lowercase.
I don't have any T.
Sure.
I don't have any T in my name.
Oh my
so.
gosh! Isn't your middle name Christopher?
No, not even close.
Paul.
No, not even close.
Yeah, it is. Ezra
Yeah,
Paul.
it's Paul. Okay.
Nice job.
Oh, cool. All right.
Chris Paul.
Why?
So we're also actually, I'm surprised you forgot this. Tomorrow morning, we're going to make a little order ski.
We
Guys, we are ordering the materials for the studio.
Yeah.
And so another reason to kind of reflect on how amazing this community is that's all because of your support. That's all because of donations you've made. For our patrons who support us every month, we're gonna create the coolest studio of all time, and an excellent hangout area, which we're kind of calling Aslan's How right now.
Yep.
And then we're gonna have a little workout area. We're gonna call that Swolhan. Big surprise there. That's what I meant to tell you earlier. We're gonna paint that on the wall.
Are we?
Swolhan.
Okay. Good.
The land of Swolhan. And so it's we've been in this planning stage since, my gosh, when was the Kickstarter in January?
Yeah.
December.
Yeah,
It was right after Christmas.
Yes, but we started it on the new year, right? I think.
Yeah. It might have even been on Tolkien's birthday.
Might have been.
I think it was January.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So we started that Kickstarter. You guys fully funded us. So we've had the money kind of building up for a while, and
in less than a year, we will have.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, if we stay on target.
Well, that's why we're going tomorrow. So we're I went with Kevin. Oh, geez, when was it? A week and a half ago now, and he just met me at Lowe's one night. We went through and we'd had talked about this plan for so long. We were like, well, we're gonna get this certain type of floor. We're gonna have this many rooms, do this kind of stuff, whatever. Mm-hmm. And it was so cool going into Lowe's and like seeing all the stuff that we're actually going to build with, because it made it. I contacted you right after.
Yep.
I'm like, I know what it's going to look like, bro. It's going to blow us away.
Yeah,
it's going to blow us away because I've seen it. I've had the vision. I've looked into the stone, and I commanded myself.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And I saw the destiny of this book club, and it's incredible. So tomorrow will be cool to go and get that order placed. We could be beginning the framing process by next week.
Yeah.
And it's an exciting time.
It is so exciting. So we have some major surprises. I don't even want to really tell everybody all of the extra little details that you've added that we've been talking about, because it's going to have some character, and it's
even the pieces within it will have symbolism and meaning. You too.
Yep.
We just discussed another one we're going to include. Yeah. So
awesome.
Wow.
Awesome.
So exciting times. Life's good though. Your health all right?
Yeah, health. Actually, I'm feeling great.
Good.
Fantastic. And this has been a much better week for me.
Yeah. And
I feel like I was and we were talking to Sherston, no joke, the past month, I have had several life-changing experiences, and I'm actually very excited to, I think, start a new phase in my life. I don't know why that happened. It wasn't something I wanted.
Wasn't planned, right?
No, I did not want this to happen, but I had some real serious stuff go down, and I am actually, in an odd way, it's got me. I've become closer with my father, my sister, my friends, my true friends. Mm-hmm. Just gonna go ahead and say that. I mean, so
a lot I could say. Yeah,
I know, but I feel, and I was just telling Sherston that the connection that I have with uppers and that I have with this community, wow, it has gotten that much stronger. I found myself going back and Diggory Kirk, make sure you add me. All right. So I disappeared
on Facebook.
On Facebook. I disappeared from the world. But add old Diggory there, because I love to talk to people in the group and get in there and interact. So, and I've been doing more of that, just sort of watching and observing, but it's helped me, and I feel much better. And I'm really excited for the rest of this summer and to work on that studio, to meet we got people coming up to work on it.
Yeah.
We've got people scheduled to come in and talk about these chapters. Our conversation with
We're going to
Mike,
see Nate tomorrow too, again, which
yes,
will be really cool.
Exactly, yeah.
Yep.
Our conversation with Mike Charles, I was saying this, like, I don't know if I said this to Sherston or not, but I feel closer to him than I have some of my oldest friends.
Yeah.
And
Mike Charles is that kind of a guy.
Yeah, and
He
that's
really
the
is.
kind of change that is happening in my life, and
Yeah.
I love it. So,
Well, I said this to you in the shower when I was in the shower. I was in the shower.
You were in
and
the
I was
shower.
like, make sure, because sometimes I talk to myself in the shower. Who doesn't, right?
Right.
Who doesn't have entire one-way conversations in the shower? Probably all of you.
Most of yeah.
So I was like, I need to make sure I say this because I don't know. I know if I had had the same kind of crap thrown at me, that I wouldn't have been able to handle it the same way you have, with such grace and such dignity and strength, man. So I'm proud of you. I love you, and
Thanks, man.
I'm glad that some of this crap is starting to pass. But I'm
Me
sorry
too.
it's had to.
Me too.
It's had to happen. So
Yeah. So it's all good.
That's
We're
life, right?
We're
Yeah.
feeling. You know what? And I was telling you and Sarah, it's like you and Goldberry have been huge. I come down here and I get to kind of escape. And remember we were talking the other day
Oh,
about.
dude,
this.
I'm only 6 foot.
I know.
Oh, you mean like in a
In this
broader sense,
right? Yeah. Do you remember we were talking about the I know I won't mention it, but the details that we're thinking about adding to the studio?
Yeah.
And that just the being down here. So I don't know. I was just thinking of that in that moment. Like, that's what I want out there. The escape. It's still there. It's another world. We're entering another through the wardrobe. It's
further up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, can't wait. Cannot wait.
Yeah.
So
Okay, well, do you want to get into dropping eaves?
I do.
So there's a little bit we have to talk about. There was a Screen Rant article that came out recently. A few of you have posted about it. Nat Estrada, recent graduate, was the first to share it on the page, and she posted it up there. Christopher Michael has also shared it. A few others have put it on there, so it's been prevalent within the Facebook group. But it is just kind of a look at the TV show, what we know so far, the story, and the time period. Kind of explained a little bit in terms that this Hobbit over here can understand it. So the gist of this is, it's go look for it in the group if you want to, or just search Screen Rant Amazon Lord of the Rings TV show. What it really kind of points out, there's several points here. It says, what's it start with? Let me see. That our show, at least right now, what we're thinking it's going to take place in the early Second Age. There's another paragraph that talks about what happened in Middle Earth's Second Age. So this is for people like me who haven't read the Silmarillion, and some of those finer details are kind of like, well, I know that happened somewhere, but when did it happen? Also just says, the show could show, a little redundant there, the rings forging.
Yes.
Right? Not just the Master Ring, but the rings that were given to the dwarves and the men and the elves. And just kind of what to expect from the TV show. So just that whole idea that this could focus on Sauron's forging of the One Ring, Celebrimbor making the others, the relationship there, his light form of Anatar, obviously the island of Numenor still being around. So it just kind of hit me. So I read this article and I was like, all right, this is what's going to happen. This is where, and it seems like every idea they threw out, I would eventually come around to, okay, I like this idea for a show. But I was thinking about this the other day. I was thinking to myself, this is probably the perfect place to start. Because we talked about this before. I think it's the perfect place to start for a show, because you can, from this point, right, in the Second Age, you could go back to the very beginning and build up to it, but you could also continue on from this. I'm thinking about the future here too, right? Not just this show, but what's going to come after it, or in seasons to follow, or whatever. However they lay it out, it's really because it's tied to ring stuff from Lord of the Rings, which we all love. It's the origin of that story, but it's smack dab in the middle of the broader timeline. So you could do prequels and go back to the very beginnings of the formation of the world and the Valar and Maiar and Arua Luvatar, and you could move on forward through Sauron's dominance, right, and his taking of of the world, and even going back, you could talk about Morgoth and all this stuff. And
absolutely.
So it's really kind of, in a way, it's safe enough and risky enough.
Yeah.
So
what's neat about this, I think, is that we are familiar with this Dark Lord.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be confusing maybe to a vast majority of fans if you went back, your mainstream, the masses, I guess, to go back to another Dark Lord, right? To go back to the Dark Lord.
Yeah.
If we stick with Sauron and we go back to his rise, you have the rise of Numenor runs parallel to Sauron's rise. That's what this article will tell you. Yeah. And so it is neat. It does talk about the forging of the ring, the One Ring taking place in the Second Age around the year 1600. So they're thinking maybe it's even right just before that, and it's sort of Sauron coming into power, if you will, and Numenor rising and stuff. And then it's a great. I think it is a good place to start.
Yeah.
So I like that. I like that a lot. Wow, that makes me kind of rethink some of the stuff I was thinking about with the stone. You know?
Okay.
It really does. Well, it makes me think that we'll see it.
Yeah. Maybe what it was, what its purpose was.
And maybe we'll see it in a different location, in a different place, at a different. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay.
Or it'll be. I don't know. It could be something that we could. Yeah, I don't know. It was interesting that we were talking about Numenor. We're talking about. The aftermath of what happens there, and then them coming to Middle Earth, and this being this air quote like covenant stone that's there for their people.
Yeah, right.
So,
the oath stone.
Yes, the oath stone. So we'll talk about that later.
It's
but
kind of perfect timing for the chapter.
For the chapter
exactly.
That we're on. Yeah,
that's exactly right.
So it'd be interesting to see how that all ties together. So.
Yes, it will be. So speculation will continue. And we're gonna. I mean, I'm assuming that most of the cast has been decided upon, because they start filming in a couple months. We keep forgetting that they're filming in August in Scotland. So that, even though we haven't heard any announcements yet, I'm guessing that is nearing completion or right in the thick of it. And that very soon, end of this summer, we'll probably see some TMZ Scotland shots of filming. I mean, I'm hoping anyway we'll have some spies out there that either they release pictures themselves, photos, and maybe some interviews, things like that, or we'll see people who have scoped out, hey, that looks like a Lord of the Rings shoot over there, snap picture.
Yeah.
So it'll be cool to see who's involved, what actors, whether they be well known or unknown or both, and then just what it's gonna look like. A little side note, was watching The Bachelorette the other day with Sarah.
Yeah.
And they were in Scotland.
Okay.
And I was like, cool, yeah, let's check it out. They were in Inverness, and went out to witnessed one of the worst dates of all time, at least in Bachelorette universe. And the cliff sides they were on were just absolutely beautiful. And I was like, Scotland really is, with all the lochs that are there. It really very easily looks like an island. And just when you look at Numenor, how it has it's in the shape of a star. It's got those 5 points that go out.
Yes. And
they'll have no problem. I think in the after watching the show, we're going to be like, Scotland is Numenor. 100%.
Yeah.
And it couldn't have been shot anywhere else. So that's very exciting.
That's cool.
Yeah. So anyway, more to come. We're excited to see what happens next. And let's go. Let's have it on. This is something we were talking about, dude.
Yeah.
Episodic versus dump.
Yes.
Right. How will the show be released? What do we think? What does Amazon typically do versus because HBO is it's a 7-8 week thing.
It's a big event. Yeah, it spreads it out over
every week. You can't binge watch. And so we were talking about our preferred way to watch the show. If we had to choose between binge watch, a dump onto Amazon Prime, or week by week release. So what would you? I know what you're going to say, but what would you prefer?
Yeah. So I mean, honestly, I think when you do a dump like that, some people will get it right away and they'll consume it. It'll just be this quick, like a vapor. Boom, it's there, it's done. Some people will hit it later on. It just kind of depends. I want it to be week by week dropped. I want to build the hype. I want to go to the water cooler and talk with coworkers and friends and be able to discuss here on the podcast and in the group what's happening. What do we think's happening next? What do we like about it? Speculate a little bit and really get after it. I think it just builds it. I think it builds the hype.
And I want to be able to process it.
Yes.
I don't want to be tempted to watch 3 episodes straight and then a month from then go, oh yeah, what? Oh my gosh, yeah, that did happen. But how did they get that?
Because we'll binge it afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Rewatchability, that's fine. But like, I want to be able to process it week by week and then look forward to the next one. So Amazon, we know you're listening.
Right.
Help us out here. Release it over, a couple months. Make it a summer event.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all we have for Dropping Eaves. Obviously, the Tolkien film. If you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. I don't know when that's going to be released on DVD or Blu-ray and all that stuff. But when you can get your hands on it, get your hands on it. It was beautiful. You've heard how we feel about that, but it's a priceless piece of Middle Earth history that we have now. Yeah. And Dome did an incredible job. Lily, Nick,
when we get time, we're gonna fly out and talk to Dome.
Yeah, and we got an invitation, so we can go out to
open.
Yeah, go out and see him. So check that movie out; it's amazing.
Yeah.
In other corners of Middle Earth, we have the long expected party. It's ramping up, guys. We're in the middle of June, so that's July, 3 months from now. We will be celebrating Bilbo's birthday, or Biljo Baggins, if you will. Yeah. And there's some exciting people coming to this party.
Yeah.
Some of these names I can share, some of them I can't, but the Joneses will be back. Susie and Ethan Milhouse will be back.
Yep.
Xavier might be there as well.
Yep.
We got Erica Barnes, who's booked. Jen Shepard is going to show up.
Yeah.
Sherston and her sister Elise
are
going to be there, flying in from the Misty Mountains. We got Jim SP, who's booked.
That's awesome.
Going to be here.
Wow.
We've got Philip Willis, who's riding up from Rohan.
He is riding, right? I heard he was coming
on a horse.
Shadowfax, maybe?
On the Old Town Road.
Okay.
Going to ride till he can't ride no more.
All right.
Can't tell him nothing. And then Josh Babcock is also going to be coming up as well. So, yeah, people that we've never met before that we know very well from, and others, too, that I can't mention.
Yeah, there are more.
Not allowed to. Obligation, Proximo. Is that what I'm...
Secrecy.
Sworn to secrecy. It's a conspiracy.
You took an oath in front of a stone.
I did, yeah. Put my hand down, and I don't want to be a ghost. So, very exciting. We have some more details that we'll release about that coming up, but hoping to have a studio dedication. We'll have fun events and games. We'll have food. May even be fireworks this year. Can't believe I just said that. But they won't be legal. Maybe Bill Joe will disappear and set off some fireworks. I don't know.
A wizard doesn't really
ask for permission. He asks for.
I'm not bound to the laws of this land. Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
So we'll see what we can do.
Yeah. Totally. Some more exciting news. We have Charlotte Hinton, one of the OGs, man.
She's
one
wonderful.
of the OGs.
Wonderful.
And she's an amazing human being. She and her friend are starting a coffee business. I think is it Dr. Bean Coffee?
I think you're right. Yep.
I believe that's what it's.
Doctor's in there.
Yep. Dr. Bean Coffee.
Yeah.
So anyway, she contacted us today. She's actually roasting beans right now.
You're messing with me.
Roasting beans as we speak. I have video proof here. I'll pull up, and you're going to be able to hear it.
What's she roasting them?
That just went into slow motion. That popping you're hearing, is the beans roasting.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it's very exciting. I'm just going to read this message she sent us right here. She says here, roasting Sumatran for our upper family. City roast and dark roast. The popping you hear in the slow-mo is the beans cracking. Sending out a care package for you guys to try and sample. Let me know what you like and what blends you'd like to incorporate. I'm open to all suggestions. So, guys, we are going to have an upper coffee, and
that's amazing.
Beside myself.
Yeah,
I'm
amazing.
sitting here drinking Starbucks, and I can't wait for it to be. I don't know what we're going to call it.
Yeah, we'll have to figure
up
that out.
Up all night, maybe.
Yeah. Don't forget the sipping. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the mead.
I don't know.
We also have Rachel.
Mead, coffee, whatever.
We also have Rachel's Candles, which people are ordering like crazy. It's the perfect companion to your listening and your reading. And Travis's Mead, which will be coming soon. If you want to get your coaster, go to weirdleatherandmead.com and use the code UPWYRD, UPWYRD. I think it's like $10, and you can get a cool coaster.
Yep.
As there was something hilarious that happened in the Facebook group, and I just thought we'd have to read a few.
That's fine. I was told not to look at this, so I'm going to try to pull it up right now.
There is a Brittany Kwan shared a birthday formula here. Your date of birth, your month of birth, and the color of your shirt you're wearing, and you just create this hilarious sentence. Hers was, I'll prank Elijah Wood because the wine will be over. We got Justin whose formula equals, I'll fight with Sean Bean because I love to do it. He'll also probably die. Emma Rose, I'll fight with Lee Pace because I love to do it. A lot of doing it going on. Rebecca Rovney, I am super jealous of hers. I'll be messing around with Viggo Mortensen because I love to do it. Okay, maybe not jealous. The implications there are pretty heavy, but
yes.
Rebecca, just be careful. Okay,
good for her.
Audrey Bennett, I'll bind to a tree Billy Boyd because he stole my flip-flops.
Jamie. Somebody get a hold of Billy.
Lauren Phillips said, I'll stalk Martin Freeman because Peter Jackson told me to do it. Mine was, I'll be messing around with Billy Boyd because I want to teach him how to do it. I said I might need this on a shirt or a new shirt. Right. I don't know. Jim just let us know that you can actually have your identity stolen if you do this. But that's all in the fun of it. Craig, I'll visit New Zealand with Orlando Bloom because winter is coming. Matt Baldwin, I'll visit New Zealand with Richard Armitage because Peter Jackson told me to do it. Wells Halverson, I'll be messing around with Sean Bean because winter is coming. Christine Clements, I'll listen to music with Lee Pace because he stole my flip-flops. Stephen Vilken, also a one that I'm kind of jealous of. I'll visit New Zealand with Viggo Mortensen because he loves me.
That's awesome.
So I just said, you stole my heart, man. And he said, I respect you tremendously, but you know it's Viggo's decision. Laughing my A off.
It is.
Brittany Morgan, I'll eat sushi or shushi out of the hands of Elijah Wood because he loves me. It's quite a commitment.
Lucky.
Kayla Clifford, I'll listen to music with Viggo Mortensen because I ran out of patience. Wow. Crazy Uncle Joe Lewis, I'll listen to music with Sean Bean because he stole my flip-flops. Joke's on him. He's probably not going to live long enough to wear them. Oh my gosh, Joe. But seriously, I would totally listen to some Howard Shore with Sean Bean and discuss the meaning of life. Joe would. He probably has.
Yeah.
Nick Austin, I'll cuddle with Sean Bean because I want to teach him how to do it. I mean, I would. Chance Parker, I'll visit New Zealand and Ian McKellen because he stole my flip-flops. Sarah Jean, I'll look after Richard Armitage because I want to teach him how to do it. A lot of doing it going on. Ben Easley, I'll bind Martin Freeman to a tree because I have no shame. It's harsh, bro. And does the tree want that? I don't know.
I don't know if that's
Matthew Dugan, I'll prank Orlando Bloom because he stole my flip-flops. Wow. So we're all getting into some trouble. There's a lot of binding going on.
There's a lot of
doing it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of flip-flops.
So, wow. I since I didn't get can I go through mine?
Yeah, what's yours going to be, bud?
All right. So it looks like it'll be I'll bind to a tree Luke Evans because the wine will be over.
Oh, there's some pretty big
Is there something there?
Implications there.
The wine's over, so I'm binding Luke Evans to a tree.
Yeah.
Oh,
like
Bard.
You've had your fill, and time to bind Bard, if you will.
Okay.
Some fan fiction will be released.
I'm
sure about that.
Yeah, there will
as
be.
For his escapades.
The Flannel Wizard and Bard on another adventure. Thanks, Brittany.
Boy,
I mean, that was
secret channel there. That was awesome, Brittany.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you so much. Our poll from last week. So we were asked this question from Phil Seidel, our good friend. Would we rather have fought in Helm's Deep or the Siege of Gondor? This was split right down the middle, man. 224 of you voted. 53% of you said, I'd rather fight in Helm's Deep. 47% said, Gimme Gondor.
Mm-hmm.
That's all the comings and goings from
Yes.
Barlaman's beer room, my friend.
I love it. I love it. Lots of cool stuff there.
Time to get into that reread, yeah?
Yes, it is.
We have an excellent chapter.
We do. We really do. There's so much to discuss. We were talking about the stone earlier,
Yes.
and we'll get there at the end of this episode. But I'm so excited. I think that the Grey Company.
Yeah.
Who are they? Who are they? What is the Grey Company? What does it mean? Right? What's it mean?
Yeah.
We're gonna find out.
Yes, we are.
The passing of the Grey Company. So, in summary here, as Gandalf and Pippin, we know that they rode off towards Minas Tirith. We had a great chapter learning more about Minas Tirith. We learned about its defenses and things like that. It was
from Boromir himself, which was pretty cool.
Wonderful, wonderful. So Aragorn, Theoden, the Riders of Rohan return from Isengard. Okay, and very cryptically, Aragorn explained to Gimli and Legolas and Merry that he must proceed to Minas Tirith by a darker and yet undetermined route.
Yeah.
Did he know? Yeah, we'll get there. I've already got questions. I'm just... Okay, on the way to Rohan, the group encounter 30 Rangers of the North. Wow. 30.
In gray.
In gray.
Yep.
Just 30. What's crazy is when they talk about
3
that
times
number,
10, just so you know.
Yeah, that's how you get there.
Yeah.
But what's... when Theoden talks about that 30...
Yes.
Oh my gosh. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's really, really fantastic. Yeah. But now in their company, we have Elrond's sons.
Yeah.
Right?
Elrohir and Elladan.
Yes.
Or Adam Driver. That's who I want to play. His sons.
Okay.
Adam Driver. Both of them.
Yeah.
They're almost indistinguishable unless you know them well enough.
What's cool is, I mean,
says.
I don't remember in the they were not in. Were they
No,
in the? Okay.
They were not. No.
Yeah.
Another. I don't know. I think they probably would have thought they would have taken up too much time, but
yeah.
I mean, this whole Grey Company we don't get in the film.
But there is a way in which we see. I wonder if we'll talk about that later. That'll be a whole book to show comparison. But anyways, yeah. So the Dunedain were gruff but proud.
Mm-hmm.
They came entirely clad in gray, and it's when they first show up, it's their reports. I love when they're standing next to the men of Rohan, the way
make them look like boys.
Yeah, but yet the men of Rohan are so also strong and hardy and very tall. And
because remember when the Hobbits, or even I can't remember when we first come across or hear them, they talk about their size.
Yeah,
how remarkably big they are. So think about how big the Dunedain.
Yes, yeah,
massive.
Exactly. So Theoden, though, I mean, since they are there to give aid to Aragorn, he kind of welcomes them, right? He come along.
Yeah, this is
I want to get into
help unlooked for, but
it is
welcome,
and we'll get into what he says specifically about them because I think it's really cool, and I think the way that Theoden is, what we have in the book is so much better.
So much better.
It's so much better.
This chapter, man.
His interaction with Merry and stuff, it's fantastic.
Yes, he's just so much more lovable, and Merry says it best. You will be like a father to me, and he says for a time, which I want to talk to you about too. And I watched that. I watched the movie, and I love Bernard Hill, and I love the interpretation of Theoden. It's a different side, maybe, of him, but I never look at him and go, man, he'd be like a great dad. Never. I don't. Not once. Yeah. It's like he's a very conflicted human being.
Yeah.
He's so, and it's just like,
well, we said, just because I think it's important to recap, when he was under that influence of Saruman and Wormtongue, the way in which he was under that influence is very different, and the way in which he comes out of it on his own,
different as well.
Gandalf almost gives him the power, and it's not necessarily Gandalf.
No, it's not.
Which I think is more cred to Gandalf, actually, and to Theoden. Both.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is fantastic.
Absolutely, yes.
That's the mastery of it.
I know.
Right?
I know, man.
That's stuff that you don't need to alter in your adaptation, because it's so perfect.
It's
and
rich.
It is rich. When you read it, you think, there's no better way to do that.
No.
Because the wizard gets all of his due, and the king gets his due as well.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic. So yeah, there's that.
There's also the parallel, since we're kind of
Yeah, go ahead.
freestyling.
Yes.
Here. There's also this similar yet different, just chapter to chapter character development we've seen with Pippin and Denethor.
Yep.
And Merry.
Yep.
And Theoden, which I
yep.
never really noticed before, even
Yep.
in the films. And I think it's because we spend time directly with those characters in these chapters, right? We're with Pippin directly.
Yep.
We see the world through his eyes. We're with Merry. We see the world through his eyes. And it's like fascinating how you look at them on the surface, you're like, oh, okay, both the same. No. No. Even the manner in which they offer their service.
Yes.
The motivation of that, or it's a different impetus.
It is. Yeah, it is. It is. It
Wow.
is. Yeah.
Such your
So-
twice, dude, twice.
Can you give? I'm going wide. If you could go in the middle, that'd be great.
You can't say
I can't.
that.
I'm serious though.
The visual that creates.
Sorry. All right. All right. Back to the summary here. So, Elro here conveyed a message though to Aragorn from Rivendell.
Yeah.
If thou art in haste, remember the paths of the dead. If thou art in haste. And we are. We're in great haste.
Aragorn has a line in this chapter that I relate to so much in my life right now, that he feels like he's never ever had enough time for the stuff he wants to do. So he's been in haste his whole life.
Yeah. It now is the time.
Yeah.
Right?
Finally.
Yeah. Draw
Come on,
swords.
dude.
Draw swords with me.
Come on. Woo, get out that notepad and let's draw some
Yep.
swords.
So
You using a pen or?
I'm going to use
graphite.
After a time, the group reached Helm's Deep, the refuge of the Riders of Rohan, and Theoden asked Merry to ride with him for the rest of the journey. Merry is obviously stoked about that.
Yeah.
Because the king said that there would come a time where he would sit with him, but Merry thought it would be in a time of peace. And what I like about, not only did Aragorn see this, but Theoden saw it. He foresaw that the time for that conversation is now.
And it's also a perfect time for Merry because he's felt like baggage. He
Exactly.
talks about this. I feel like I don't have a place. I don't belong. I'm not important in any of this.
Right.
And you got to wonder too if King Theoden also perceives that. Like, this is what this Hobbit needs right now, maybe. Yeah.
Yes. Very good point. I like that a lot, actually. Yeah. So now at that point, we'll go into more detail, but Merry does offer his service, as you say, right? So Theoden prepared the group to resume the journey. The group suddenly realizes that Aragorn is missing from their little feast that they're having. Yeah.
Oh, man, he's doing battle of a different kind.
Where's he at?
Come on.
While they're feasting,
I said nothing.
while they are preparing and feasting,
Bro, when he snaps at Gimli,
oh,
and then he catches himself and he realizes he's talking to his friend, and his tone changes.
yeah,
God.
yeah, I know. Because he declared himself at Edoras before. He did. Right? He did.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
And-
he did. Yes, he did.
He did. So
in the same manner too.
and here's the thing. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was when he snaps at Gimli.
No.
I love that this is great because I'm getting all this out right now.
And I don't think it was when he snapped at the guard either. I think it's just this. He's had to conceal it for so long.
Yep.
He's had to be patient. He's had to wait for his time.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes it's like, what are you talking about? Don't question this.
Yes.
Like,
well,
this is,
and that's the other piece though.
he knows who he is.
He knows who he is.
Yes.
And you have forgotten.
It's a very Aslan
It's
thing.
yes, it is. He be careful, because did you forget who I am?
Good, not safe, right?
Yes.
Yeah, did you forget? Right.
Did you forget who I am?
Right.
Because
Which is, dude.
I am. I know.
Gosh, dude, it's perfect for this
I
whole
know.
narrative he's been building with Gondor.
Yep.
They have forgotten who they were.
Yep.
Slowly and over time, they let their guard down.
Uh-huh.
They got lax.
Yeah.
They forgot.
Yeah.
Don't let it happen again.
That's right.
Aragorn says.
Yep. No.
Cheesy, bro.
Know who I am. I'm just gonna go on a tangent here for a second because I'm so stoked
I'm
about
gonna go
this
grab
chapter.
a tangerine.
That's fine. Give me some tangerine juice because I'm gonna literally take off here.
Yeah.
The Grey Company. I think about this phrase, and I'm sorry if this is going to seem completely bonkers, but his men, his people, show up and they're with him, and it is his time. He would have gone by himself, but there are other great counselors in Middle Earth who knew that he needed that he needed this aid, and they were waiting. They wanted to be here with him. So this great company has come to him. And I think when you ask the question, whom do men say that I am? The great company, when he looks at them, they know who he is.
Yeah.
And that reflection of who he is very much there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He can't, there's no more. The time is now. My people are here. There's a threat. I've reclaimed the Palantir. I've reclaimed the Seeing Stone. They're mine by right.
Rightfully mine.
They're rightfully mine. Okay? And he had the strength. He had the power.
Daggone.
So he is the king.
It's yes, and it's the perfect balance of humility and confidence, power and peace.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just I don't know how Tolkien. I mean, I know how he did it, but I mean, I know that the model he patterned after, but it's just like you said at the beginning, perfectly executed. And then even the play on, we can get to this later, sorry.
No, that's fine.
The play on the term the Great Company. Yeah. Like that's a motif again in this chapter that gets used again and again in different places for different things. Yeah. And even different moods, that it's just like, dude, come on. Stop showing off.
No,
Jaren.
He's the best.
Jaren Token.
He is the best. Yeah. So to move through some of this summary here,
sorry.
I mean, no, it's totally fine. I think this is fantastic. He does inform Legolas and Gimli about the Palantir and how and what has happened there. We'll go into that. That Sauron has now been alerted to his presence, his existence. Isildur's heir. It is known. Okay, it's out there. So.
And how that's a good thing. That's what he wants.
Yes, that is what he wants. Yeah.
Aragorn's what Aragorn wants.
Yes. Yes. So Aragorn kind of explains the history of the paths of the dead and why it is that they maybe need to take it. Some of the legend that he cites, the seer. Don't forget.
Come on.
It made me
make a show about him.
It made me think, exactly. Yeah, it made me think that he was raised in all of this lore and all of these possible legends. And don't forget, like when I saw an ancient seer laid this down long ago. This was foretold.
Prophecies.
This was foretold.
Yeah, dude.
And let's say that several things were foretold, and you don't know exactly when they will be relevant or when they're needed or which ones do you need to know. So you know all of them. Yep. Okay, and then Elrond gives you this piece, and he you know what I'm saying? I don't know. It's fantastic. You have to study all of the lore, and you have to know about. It's sort of like Gandalf sometimes. Like you have to know these legends and the histories. Yep. To understand, to inform yourself, to make these decisions now. Yeah. Blew me away. Blew me away.
That's why they never sleep.
Right. Exactly.
A lot to think about.
Lot to think about. Right. Right. So they're going to, his whole path here, and we'll talk about this, is the men of the mountain broke their oath, and we'll talk about the worship that they had with Sauron. Yeah. And the Oathbreakers, he's coming to give them this chance, or to demand that they fulfill their oath. Yep. The curse has been laid down, and he can lift it. Yeah. If they'll fulfill their oath. Yeah. And they, we'll talk about how their willingness there. But then there's also so that when they reach, he's explaining that, and when they reach, is it Edoras, right? Théoden hadn't arrived yet, but his niece Éowyn begged Aragorn to avoid those paths, and he refuses. And we'll talk more about her and her path.
And the three, here you go again, the 3 times that she came to him, begging him to take another path to change his decision. Yep. And how he says it's not really a decision I've made. It's something I don't not go. It's need drives me.
Need drives him. Yes.
And it's not something I go to with like a joyful heart. Essentially, is what he's saying. It's just
It's great. It's great. So outside of Dunharrow lay the entrance to the Path of the Dead, which ran beneath the mountain. And we have a little bit with Gimli and this fear that's pressing on them, and they get to the Stone of Eric, and it's epic. It's epic. There's a silver horn involved, and there's some fantastic stuff that takes place there. So we'll save that for the very end. But let's dive into it.
Get into it, buddy.
Let's go here. So it happens in parts. We have a great map, by the way, too. That we talk about this in the doc. If you haven't had a chance, what is the it's the Middle Earth Project, right? Isn't it? Isn't that what it's called?
Yeah, the Lord of the Rings project.
Lord of the Rings project.
Yeah. It's a map. We used this early on. Remember when the hobbits kind of set off on their journey? We needed this. We're like, okay, where exactly are, stuff that wasn't in the films. Well, just like, the relation of the Barrow Downs to Bree and the Midgewater Marshes and Weathertop and stuff. It was just kind of nice, even though it's pretty much just straight east. But we needed to that visual. You're always talking about Ezra's compass. And,
well, I mean, it was genuinely it was straight east, but they were
but it was like we wanted to make sure, right? And, and that's right. And then remember that time they got to that bald hill in the old forest, and they looked out and they could see all these things in all directions and all.
Yep.
And same thing kind of happened in Amon Hen with Frodo, and how part of that was because he was on the seeing seat and all that. But anyway, so we're back at this map, and it's really cool because repeating ourselves here again, or myself, typical. But what you can do is you can highlight paths. You've got all these options of paths that you can highlight. So we've highlighted Aragorn and then Merry, so that we can see the two, because they do. You're right. They kind of like they just miss each other, and they're in different places, and they take different routes to the same place. And so it's just nice to be able to see that laid out and have those events kind of pinpointed as well.
Yep.
But
yeah, exactly. Okay, so use that if you want as a guide here, because the when we get to Helm's Deep, which we're here at the start, we're gonna take different paths, and it'll be interesting to kind of follow two groups here. But Legolas, Gimli, at the start here, we're talking about 4 of the company still remain, said Aragorn. We will ride on together, but we shall not go alone, as I thought. The king is now determined to set out at once. Since the coming of the winged shadow, he desires to return to the hills under cover of night. So they were going, it reminded me that they're on a quest, that they set out from Rivendell, and they were a part of a fellowship.
Yeah.
Right? And
it threw me off because I got the number 4 now I'm having to deal with instead of the number 3. Yeah. So that was new and different, but I guess I can get a grasp. But yeah, you're right. It kind of puts that back into perspective, and also kind of fills us in a little bit on some of the stuff that Pippin may have. He's in and out of, what do we call it? We call it the Palantir hangover or whatever.
Yeah, right.
And some of that stuff that he may have seen or heard or whatever that they also experienced, I guess.
Yeah. And we were talking about that with Mike Charles, and there's a line here early on where let's see, they're talking about Legolas wants to know, whither do we go, right? Where do we go? The king is now determined, right? And he says, I cannot say yet. As for the king, he will go to the muster that he commanded at Edoras 4 nights from now. And there I think he will hear tidings of war, and the riders of Rohan will go down to Minas Tirith. But for myself and any that follow, or any that will go with me, I for one, right? So then they're both like,
off,
we're going, right?
Yep.
He says, so well for myself, it is dark before me. I must go down also to Minas Tirith, but I do not yet see the road. An hour long prepared approaches.
Gosh.
It made me think when we were talking about Denethor, and we were talking about the likeness between he and Aragorn and their abilities to perceive men's thoughts far off or to see things. Because Aragorn, remember on the way down the Anduin, he was in deep thought and meditation, trying to think and it's almost like they're in connection with something. Something is guiding his path, right?
Yep.
So right here in the beginning, he's thinking about, he already kind of can anticipate where Theoden is going to go and what will happen, the events that will take place.
Yeah.
Most likely this, and this. It's very Gandalf-like.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
And it's this men of Numenor, right? It's this gift. It's this presence that they have. So I thought that was kind of cool. It was a little tie back to the things that we were learning about Faramir and Denethor.
Yeah,
and stuff,
Denethor.
right?
Yeah, I didn't make that connection. Yeah, totally.
Just because he is perceiving all of this, and he's dwelling on what his path is going to be.
Yeah.
So now here's the bit that the luggage comes in. Mary.
Oh yeah.
Mary has to. He doesn't want to be left behind, and he's not going to be, right? He's not going to be. But your road lies with him, being Theoden, right? Yeah. And that's where he will go, and he's heading to. So he's going to go with Theoden because he talks about wanting to sit by him. The king said that he could sit with him at some point, and I think, gosh, I mean, think about at the end of this chapter 2, or it's midway through, the haste that had to be made. There's no way they could have taken Mary.
Time then. No.
These.
Taking Mary with them. No. Yeah.
I mean, they would. I don't know. It's incredible. The Grey Company moves with this fierceness. It says like at one point it's talking about like their move through the path of the dead, and then past that, once they have the army, right, it'll talk about how quickly they have to move, and there's just no way that Mary could.
I mean, he would have had to have been right there with Aragorn.
Yeah,
on the same horse.
Exactly.
You know?
He'll have to play a different part because it's going to press them more than it's ever pressed them.
And I love how the what comes about as this natural connection between he and Theoden. It's almost like it doesn't really. It's not even an option for him to go with them. You know what I mean? That it sort of like takes care of itself. And whether that was Theoden's awareness of that reality, that it's either he comes with me or he'll go with the Grey Company. I don't know. It's just very interesting how that just kind of naturally solves itself. It's not really a problem.
Right. So quickly as they're leaving Isen, right? As they're leaving out, the fords of Isen, the riders gallop along the way. They've got their 20. I love the detail. Even 24 horses with Gimli and Legolas and Merry in front of Aragorn. They hear horsemen who are coming up behind them as they cross the fords.
And it's at night, so they can't really see what's going on. They don't know who this is.
Yes.
It's alarming because they're, think about what they've just been through too.
Yeah.
And we get that reality when we get back to Helm's Deep, because you got Dunlendings cleaning up. You've got guards of Helm's Deep they're still cleaning up from that battle. And it talks about the marks, the Hjorns scarred into the earth are still fresh. Yes. So the thought of another encounter like that, another battle, would be like, come on, man, give us a break here. We're just trying to get back and regain our strength. It would have been devastating at this point. It would have been really, really bad.
Yeah, and one of the things that they mentioned, I brought up the 24 horses because this is a company of about 30, they say, right?
Right. Yeah.
That shows up, and Tolkien mentions, right, that this company seemed to be no larger than the king's company, right? But they couldn't see them.
Right.
They definitely could not see them, and it's Éomer who has to cry out, "Halt! Halt! Who rides in Rohan?"
That's his job, right?
That's his job.
Yep.
There he is. So, and they answer back. It's good for them to hear someone wanting to, demanding to know who was riding in Rohan, and that's I guess how do you put that? It's good for the Grey Company to hear, because they say Rohan, did you say? That is a glad word to them, right? We seek that land in haste from long afar, and he says, "You found it," and they ask who he is, and so how do you say his name? Is it
Halbarad?
Halbarad?
Yeah.
Halbarad.
Dunedain?
Man.
Yeah. Ranger of the North I am.
This is awesome. This is awesome.
I know, dude. I know.
And as soon as Aragorn hears that name, he's
my buddy.
He's locked in.
My family.
He's lit up.
Halbarad.
Right.
Yeah. Of all joys, this is the least expected.
Yeah.
And I just it's like, I don't know. I mean, so this does so many things. like the fact that these are, we learned that these are the Rangers of the North, the Dunedain, and that, like, the movie missed out here, okay?
Yeah.
Because this is a powerful moment. It helps Aragorn not feel so alone in his path forward. It also fits in with the whole theme of reunification and the old alliances being reformed and people coming together to conquer evil instead of dividing. The northern kingdoms of Gondor and the southern kingdoms of Gondor.
Yeah.
Right? He's going to Minas Tirith with rangers from the north.
Yes.
Right? So that
the
division,
remnants of literally the
North
remnants
Kingdom.
of the North Kingdom.
So that division is being
What's crazy cool about it, I think, and they talk about how the men of Rohan have become much similar to the high
size,
men, right? And how this, like we were talking about with Kurt, the men of Twilight, and we were talking about all of that. It's so cool to see that Theoden doesn't necessarily hesitate. Sure.
Oh yeah.
You're kinsman of Aragorn. Obviously, you're coming with us, and he's not even hesitating. Aragorn knew right away. He has a feeling or a sense that Theoden's going straight to help.
Yeah,
he's going to muster his forces, and they are going to Minas Tirith.
Yeah.
Whereas I felt like we got some hesitation, right? We got all that was hesitation in the film. It seems like they weren't going to go aid them.
They weren't going to.
And they had to wait for the beacons to be lit and things.
So I'm thinking that's time they wasted that could have been spent on this.
Yeah. Exactly.
And why?
Why? Right.
I don't know.
Which is a whole...
Because people can't... men can't be that good, right? They couldn't do something good.
Right, yeah.
And that's the whole idea. The same thing that happened with Faramir is how could he resist the ring? Like, he can't be that good.
Yeah. So
30 such knights will be a strength that cannot be counted by heads.
There it is. 30 such knights.
And then the line that preceded that, if these kinsmen be in any way like to yourself, my lord Aragorn.
Yeah. Halbarad is just, he's so cool. I mean, it's just so neat to see that connection between the two. And later on they'll talk about the Shire and guarding the Shire and all the good that they did in their realm. It's fantastic. Absolutely.
Yeah, and how Mary says farewell and he can't really, it's all he can get out.
Yep, exactly.
Gosh, man.
Yeah.
So, oh my gosh.
Ah, boy. So he gladly welcomes them and what have you there. So that's
again good. The mention of speaking no more of these things upon the open road.
Yes.
Right. I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but
fine.
It's they ride out again, and they're speaking the tidings, right? And from the north.
Yep. And
in the south, and Elroy here says to Aragorn, "The days are short. If thou art in haste, remember the past of the dead."
Yeah.
And this is that line he says, "Always my days have seemed to me too short to achieve my desire, but great indeed will be my haste ere I take that road." So even there, he's like, it's really got to be dire. And so again, he hasn't learned those things from looking into the Palantir yet, right? He doesn't know. So that makes his need much more dire.
And that's what Elroy here says. That soon will be seen.
Yeah.
Let's not speak no more. That soon will be seen.
Yeah. Right.
Which is crazy. An interesting nugget for people who I can't even remember when I was so young when I was first reading through this, as these characters as Elroy here shows up, right, and the sons of Elrond, they remind you of that in this chapter, because right away they don't tell you that.
Yeah.
And it is something that was so long ago that it's a nice little, I don't know, it's just something that I thought was like, that's how cohesive Tolkien is.
Yeah.
So anyways.
Yep.
For your first time, if you're reading through your first time, it's like, what? It's
or you go, I remember that name.
Where did I remember that from?
Yeah.
Yes. And so it's pretty fantastic. So okay. They had also brought a gift, right?
Yep. From the Lady of Rivendell.
The Lady of Rivendell.
Yeah. Standard.
Who's that?
Yeah.
Who is that?
Yeah.
But you got to think back again, right?
Yep.
You have to remember back to that time with Bilbo and the Hall of Fire.
The beauty they beheld, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Frodo say had never seen someone so beautiful.
Yeah. And so it's Halbarad, right? That says she wrought it in secret.
Yeah.
And long was the making, but she also sends words to you. Wow. The days are now short. Either our hope cometh, or all hope ends. Therefore I send thee what I have made for thee. Farewell, Elfstone. What does that mean? What is that? What's going on?
Oh.
I mean, is that like the saddest thing or the most hopeful thing? Like, what is...
Both.
It's both.
It's both.
Yeah. So...
And just the cool thing of like, you know, the standard that he'll carry, it's like wearing the colors of, you know, your lady, right? Like knights used to fight for
right.
women,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
And then oh my gosh, just the cool juxtaposition we have of Eowyn, who doesn't want to be fought for later this chapter. She wants to do the fighting.
Yeah, yeah.
So just kind of interesting. And it's not like it's I don't know. It's something that Arwen is giving him to help him in his journey that only he can take.
Yes.
Right? It's his
and
destiny.
she knows that.
Right,
yes.
right.
Yes.
So it's not that she couldn't come fight for him too and fight with him.
She has that foresight.
Yeah, right. It's
right,
because she knows it's his duty.
Yes.
You know, she knows the lore and the mythology as well as anybody.
Yeah. But what? Think about it though, right? She does have Elrond's gift.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So
right.
The days are short.
Yeah.
Either our hope cometh or all hope ends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Farewell, Elfstone. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. So, the night was old and the east gray when they rode up from the deepening coombe.
I love how he just went into silence though.
He did.
After hearing the words from,
But he looks off into
the stars.
To the stars.
Yep.
Exactly. That little nod, right?
Yep.
So they go back to the Hornburg, and there they were resting and taking counsel and things, right?
Yeah.
Mary sleeps on.
Master Sluggard.
Yeah, Master Sluggard, right? He sleeps and sleeps, which I think, I don't know. I can almost imagine he's having a really good sleep here. It's just, I'm almost a little annoyed that he's roused and he doesn't get to rouse himself. But yeah.
You can relate, right?
Yeah, I can. So
every Saturday morning.
But it's interesting. It's the exactly. The like what he talks about, all of this business and all of this. You think about all the things that we're thinking are really cool, right? All the stuff that Aragorn is foreseeing, and Elrond is sending this, and the Lady of Rivendell is sending her aid, and things like that. And to Merry, it's over his head. It's like life is much simpler.
Yeah,
things are.
He misses Pippin.
Right. It kind of it's the opposite of what's going on among the big folk, if you will.
Right.
So I think that's kind of cool, right? It takes you back to this simple level of, I just want to be helpful. How can I help?
It's kind of interesting too, because there's almost like a new three here. You've got Merry, Legolas, and Gimli, who feel kind of isolated. Right. Everyone else is, and even more so Merry.
Yes.
But those three don't have any of their kinsmen around.
Yep.
You know, before Aragorn was very isolated, there were no of his people around. Now he's got a group of support, helping lift him up, and it's like there's no elves,
right?
There's no dwarves,
right?
And now his Hobbit, best friend, has been taken away. Yeah. So
they actually almost wonder, why didn't we think to call for aid from our own people?
Yeah, none would come,
and none would. And the reason is because they're under attack.
Yeah,
they themselves are already in great peril. And it's interesting that Legolas can see that far off.
What's your elf eye see?
That's what I really believe. I think that he has that, like, not physical sight, but that inner sight. Yeah. To know that they're in great peril. Yeah. And that they themselves are fighting. Yeah. So it would be, whereas the men from this Grey Company were there in wait. They were still possibly protecting their region.
Explains
but now,
what happens later on too.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, it does. Exactly. How that individual is able to slip through. Yeah. Wow.
I just made that connection now.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Isn't that crazy? Like, I've just never thought of that, you know?
I had neither till you said it. But yeah.
Jeezy. Gee, the irony there. Wow. Okay.
So we go on here for a little bit about just, Legolas and Gimli talk a little bit about going back to those caves, and that was neat to see. They're hammering home that idea that this is a friendship. Legolas says in time they'll come back.
Yeah, and also the idea that there is no time to spare.
No.
Because Gimli's like, let's go check them out. Let's show Merry and
Yeah.
I was like, we can't do that. Are you kidding me?
And it's
Gotta
also,
go, man.
Think about how cool it is, too, that Gimli is talking to Merry as if he's this friend. Come check out what we did over here. We slew a bunch of orcs over here. We had a great competition up over there. I took one out over there.
Yeah. It takes you back to that battle. It also takes you back to their pursuit of Merry and Pippin, right?
Yeah.
How concerned they were, when they thought they were dead, like how they mourned.
Oh, man.
And how that wasn't that long. It really wasn't that long ago.
No.
It feels like, it's been years, because for us it has been. But, like he's still, I'm sure, so relieved that these hobbits are still alive and that he can sit here and talk with one of them.
Right. Yes.
It's just amazing.
So let's see. They talk about, let me see here. They're a strange company, these newcomers. This is where he talks about how stout they are, but lordly at the same time. And that the men of Rohan, the riders of Rohan, look as boys next to their grim faces.
Worn like weathered rocks for the most part, even as Aragorn himself, and they are silent.
Right.
Again, just all these moments of silence too, that he sprinkles in here. When the Dunedain Rangers, when they first come, there's a silence before they answer, and the moonlight, that hesitation there. There's a silence that Aragorn has after hearing the words of his lady, and then just the fact that they're quiet, and that really, you can kind of see how they're similar to Aragorn that way, right? A lot of times we've seen Aragorn silent, we've seen him observing, we've seen him choosing his words or knowing when not to speak.
Yeah. And what's neat is they say that when they do speak, they are courteous, but I like what you're saying. I often think that there is a great power in silence.
Yeah.
Well,
and even I'm thinking, okay, think about this too. Rangers out in the wild.
Yeah,
you're protecting and you're defending. You're not talking.
Yeah.
So their normal is, when we're off duty, we're not talking much. We have things to protect. Our presence isn't to be known.
Yeah. I know. That's great.
It's nuts, dude.
That is nuts.
But yeah, in this situation, it doesn't really help them because they seem, it's like, why aren't they talking? What's going on? They may be a little nervous, but they're nice,
Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Did you think it was interesting that Legolas doesn't really go over and I was hoping to have some dialogue between
the sons of Elrond and good point.
I just thought it was
different elves, I guess.
He points it out to Gimli and makes a remark on their gear and their fairness and then and gallant as elven lords. And
that kind of shows too, as it's a good point. It shows how like his new kindred are his friends.
Yeah.
And how it's less on, and like how a point in time he would have been like, hey, elves, those are my people.
Yes.
I'm going to leave these guys over here. But instead it's like, my people are
with Gimli. And he does. Remember when they first go into Lothlorien?
Yes,
right?
He disappears and goes with the elves.
Yes. And he doesn't here.
And now he doesn't.
That's interesting. It's very interesting, yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, boy. So, yeah, it goes on here, and we talk a little bit about how this summons came to be. Yeah. How is it that this great company knew that Aragorn was in need of help? And it said that Gimli starts to think that word came. How did that word come to Rivendell? Aragorn has heard of all, has need of all his kindred. Let the Dunedain ride to him in Rohan. But whence this message came, they are in doubt. And it's Legolas who says Galadriel. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, not Gandalf. Because Gimli thinks, Gandalf. No, it's the other G.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Which is so cool because she maybe. What is it that she perceived? Did she see something in her mirror? They indicate question. Here that it's something in Aragorn's heart that he desires for them to be with him when his time comes.
And he talks about how often he had thought of them. Right. So so it's her. Yeah, maybe her perception of his desires even.
Because it's almost like when you go back to the very beginning of this quest and you think about maybe the way in which he encounters Frodo. Clear back at the end, it's like, man, did they know the Great Company? His kin. He has to set off on this journey, and he just picks up and goes. I don't think there's time. There are several months there where I'm sure he had, remember when they're back at Rivendell and he's in there. Frodo's talking about walking up in the mountains and things, and he has time maybe to go talk to some of them, but I don't really know that there was a lot of time to make a plan, and he just has to go, and this is his task to go with this company to see this out. So it's you could see why he would be longing for his friends.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The Lady of the Wood, she reads many hearts and desires. And this is where we talked earlier about just their desire to be with their own kin and to have their own support, if you will.
And I love just the description. Just again, you can read that line that Legolas says, or you can read the description Tolkien writes.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about my footsie there. Legolas stood before the gate and turned his bright eyes away north and east, and his fair face was troubled. And how often do you see him described that way?
Yep.
Not very often. And so you can imagine that expression and how that says even more than what he says next. How that almost kind of informs the line prior, like that. That it just kind of sets it into place there.
Right. It does.
We got three companions again, man.
We do.
I can't tell you how it looks like. It looks like Jim Carrey's Notebook in 23. Just 3 circled and underlined.
I bet it does.
That's all I really see anymore.
Yeah. So now they talk, as you said, about the Berg and the dike, and as they're going through the Coombe and the rebuilding that's happening, all that stuff is taking place. The king was already there, and as soon as they entered, he called for Merry and had a seat made for him. So they're kind of, as all this stuff is going on, this is where we had mentioned at the top of the reread that Theoden asked for Merry to come sit with him. And he kind of foresees that, for this is little like my fair house in Edoras, and your friend is gone, who should also be here. But it may be long ere we sit, you and I, at the high table. So it's really cool that he has this foresight to kind of say, oh, let's have our talk now.
And this is
take
where
a moment.
Yeah, and this is where the comparisons kind of start, right? So you have when Pippin sat with Denethor, it was in a high tower in a city that has been like the center for the defense against the forces of Mordor.
Yeah.
But it's in a place that still it's in decay, but it's not in ruin, right? But here you have Merry and Theoden in a place where, well, I can't get back to my hall, so this will have to do.
Yes.
And it's in a battlement that was just besieged.
Yep.
And, he wishes he was in a finer place.
Yeah.
Right? To share this moment with him.
Yeah.
So it's a place of humility as opposed to a high place, even just
right. In the location.
Physically, right? Yeah. You're it's just so interesting. It's so interesting.
Yeah.
Because they're so alike, but the differences, and then just the reason he wants to give his service. It's because of a king humbling himself, as opposed to feeling like more of an obligation to make things right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where Pippin was wanting to, I want to give this back to you because I see the loss that you've suffered, and I feel like it's sort of on me.
Yeah.
Right. Your son died defending me, and so now I give you my life in service. And then you've got Merry here, who just he feels so alone and so lost and so honored.
Yep.
By this king that he feels almost more like he's become this father.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just nuts, dude.
It is different.
Nuts.
It's similar, but it's different.
Yeah.
As you say.
So I just imagine them going back to the Shire and talking about, oh yeah, I offer my service, Denethor.
Right.
I did a Theoden.
Yeah.
Just the conversations they would have had about how, they would have been like, oh, I had the same conversation in the same way.
Yep.
I don't know where they're from all of a sudden, but
No, it sounds like they're from
accent
from the Shire.
Oh yeah, mate.
Oh, but that's neat. I think that kind of summarizes most of that part, because, I mean, really, they talk a little bit about, you get cued in here that their Lady Eowyn waits for him there, and he when he pledges his sword. They talk about, do we have helm? Do we have a breastplate for him? Yeah, and we really don't have anything for his stature. Yeah. Then they're looking for a sword, and he says, I have a sword. And in that moment, may I lay it on your lap? And I love that he puts his hand on his head, and it even describes his fingers. It describes the back of his hand, and it talks about the blessing that he gave to Merry. It's It's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. Gladly will I take it, said the king, laying his long, old hands upon the brown hair of the hobbit. He blessed him. Rise now.
And it talks how he was, and it talks how Merry was filled suddenly with love for this old man.
Yeah.
Knelt on one knee and took his hand and kissed it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he
But
he says, may I lay the sword at your lap?
Yes.
Like asking permission.
Mm-hmm. And I think too, Merry wasn't there. He skipped past this whole part with Theoden, and he's now come across this king. Yeah. And he's walking back, and the king had many great things.
Great point
to say to him.
So
right?
if he would have met him along with the hunters, it would have been more akin to meeting Denethor.
Yeah, it would have. But it's different, right? And now Theoden counts him as courteous folk, and they're intrigued by the halflings, by the Shire folk, and he does him this courtesy of saying, "Ride with me. I've got a pony for you. Man, you'll ride." He sees a desire in him to be of service and to play his part. Yeah. And I think that's what I was talking about earlier, is that the reason Merry doesn't go with the Great Company is because he does have a part to play. It's different, though. Mm-hmm. And we each have our own part to play.
Yeah. He needed a purpose. Like he needed to have the feeling and the reality that he was needed somewhere.
Yes.
And it's right here that I mean, man, because and you just think about and we get that moment. We kind of get that moment way back. Gosh, I forgot about this. Way back when, oh my gosh, when the Dunedain are approaching and he doesn't know it, and he has this moment. Merry felt more like unneeded baggage than ever, but it fills in this part. He wondered if there was a fight, what he should do. Supposing the king's small escort was trapped and overcome, but he escaped into the darkness, alone in the wild fields of Rohan, with no idea of where he was in all the endless miles. No good, he thought. He drew his sword and tightened his belt. So that resolve is set even there, because you can see that this is these are the inner demons he's fighting.
Sure.
Right? Like, what would you do? What would you do?
Yeah.
You'd be lost. You'd probably die.
Yes.
And you're worthless. You're worthless here. That's the inner voice that's talking to him.
Yeah.
But he's able to shake this off from his own courage. And then it's like this outer voice is saying, "No, you've got a place here. Ride with me.
Yep.
We'll get you some armor. We'll get you a sword."
But in that moment, too, to credit to King Theoden, and then credit to Merry, because before, Merry does stand his ground there, and he is ready to fight, and he's committed, as you say. We just get some of that internal dialogue that we all would have. In a moment like that, especially if we didn't grow up in Rohan. We don't know this kingdom and this land. This is not, these are not our people. And so on. But he decides to fight. He knows which side he's on. And later on, Aragorn will kind of say that his mind is set. Remember when we started this journey, the hobbits, it was almost if they knew the peril they were getting into, they might not go.
Right.
But in this chapter, Merry, even if he knew,
Aragorn says it,
he would still go.
That's
he
right.
would still ride.
Yep.
And that
huge shift.
That's the shift. That's the change.
Shift.
And that's what we've been waiting for. And it's such a cool thing to have for Merry and even for Pippin in the last chapter. Man. So, yeah.
Wow.
Okay. So this is where they realize that Aragorn is not there. He is not in their company. Where is Aragorn? His place is empty, and he has not eaten. And Theoden says, we'll send word to Lord Aragorn that the hour is nigh. The king and his guard and Merry at his side passed down from the gate of the burg to where the riders were assembling on the green. And there are many that are mounted there. Somewhere in here we get a number about 1,000 to 1,500 spears that they have, right? I think it even says 1,000 were riding, but 500 had rode on before, or were with. 1,000 spears had indeed already ridden away at night, but still there were some 500 more to go with the king. For the most part, men from the fields and the dales of the Westfold. Yeah. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
We're getting the numbers. We're getting
the mass is starting to happen,
which is great.
Can I read this next paragraph?
Yes,
cool?
Absolutely.
A little apart, the rangers sat silent in an ordered company, armed with spear and bow and sword. They were clad in cloaks of dark gray, and their hoods were cast now over helm and head. So again, like even those hoods up, there's gray, there's shadow, right?
Yep.
Their horses were strong and of proud bearing, but rough-haired, so just like them. And one and one stood there without a rider, Aragorn's own horse that they had brought from the north.
Yeah.
Rohirrim was his name. There was no gleam of stone or gold, nor any fair thing in all their gear and harness, nor did their riders bear any badge or token, save only that each cloak was pinned upon the left shoulder by a brooch of silver shaped like a rayed star.
Yeah.
So again, just the whole idea of, and it takes you back to the first time we met Strider, right? Now he was plain, nothing fancy, and anything that he did have really stuck out because, they're not like Theoden. They're not like, when you get into Gondor, we think about the Tower Guard that we met. It's very business.
Yes. Serious.
It's functional. It's, things that wouldn't stick out in the wild. I mean, Rangers are supposed to be invisible, right? That's part of what they're all about. But that star, how that star is homage to Numenor.
Yes.
How it's homage to Western East, their heritage on the left shoulder, right? Which is where your heart is.
Yeah.
It's just
it's
just fantastic.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
This is where I put the book down and I just look up and I ask you a question. Imagine if you were one of the 30 in this great company. And
it's a dream of mine. It's a dream.
Right? Think about this for a second. This line, Isildur's heir. Let's say you're one. You've grown up around this.
Yeah.
And you know that this legacy, all of these hopes and dreams, it is literally on the shoulders of this company. And you're one of them. And
come on, dude.
You know what I'm saying? And Galadriel has said that Aragorn is in need.
Yeah.
And you knew that he had left, and you had been wondering, you had been worried because all of your hopes and dreams and everything that you've believed in, all of the legend and the lore and everything has suggested that Aragorn is the one who will return. And you've lost. That reunion is way more powerful than what we can even imagine. I mean, so there, when we talk about them being, serious, and you said business-like, absolutely. I think they know. It's crazy that they, being from the Northern Kingdom, because give Gondor their credit and give Boromir and Faramir all their credit as well. The things that they've been facing here in the Southern Kingdom, but I don't know. It's something. There's something special about this group. They know what they need to do, and they've been waiting and they've been preparing, watching the signs, whatever you want, preparing for this day, this time, for their ride.
And your question is, what would I say?
What would you say?
Right? What would I say to the king?
Yeah.
You're so lucky I fed your horse. Because he would have starved.
They would have starved.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. We brought him here.
I kind of turn with a little bit of an attitude, but I glance back like, I love you.
Sass.
And then
Sassy.
I've got long, nice hair,
Yeah.
With maybe, was it fairy fire kind of going on?
Fairy fire, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Sherston just did it on the way down, right? And I just kind of...
Because you were prepping because you knew you were going to see your king.
Yeah. I tossed the hair back and I'm like, just a little bit. Just a little bit of sass.
Just a little, right, yeah.
To make him know, I love you still, bro.
I love you, yeah.
But, you put us in a tight spot because food's hard to come by.
Yeah,
We're on the
his horse's
diet.
name, Rohirrim, is, that's cool because we also have Snowmane, and we have all these horses are being named.
Doesn't Rohirrim sound a lot like Rohan, too?
Yeah, it does. I was like, yeah.
And who is Mary's horse, Stibba? That's so like it. That sounds like Welsh. I don't know Welsh, but it just looked like the double B is kind of an interesting, and the YBB. So, and haven't we heard a lot that Rohirrim was old English, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that what people have said?
Yes.
So that kind of makes sense that horse name, but
right.
I digress.
Oh boy, yeah. You definitely did.
Don't you love too how it says that the sons of Elrond look so alike that very few could tell them apart.
They could not.
We get a little description of them too here. Dark-haired, gray-eyed, gray again. Their faces elven fair, clad alike in bright mail beneath cloaks of silver, gray. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like Adam Driver to me.
Right.
Double driver.
Fantastic. Yeah, and even just having Éomer near Aragorn is so cool because he is expecting to ride into battle with him, right?
Yeah.
Halbarad is there as well, and to see these great men riding together, it's epic. It's such a cool visual for me.
You know what else would be a cool visual? Or maybe not visual, but some sort of auditory treat. Making a Lord of the Rings podcast.
Another book put down here.
It's just off the top of our heads. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We've got to get the name just right, though, as if we were to start a Lord of the Rings podcast one of these days. Sounds like a fun thing to do.
It does.
Maybe
we get there, yeah.
a cool community could burgeon from that. What would you name it?
Off the top of my head, I Who Rides in Rohan?
Who rides? Who rides?
Who
rides in Rohan?
Hoorah,
yeah,
hoorah.
Yeah. Frodo Swaggins is back. Watch out.
Oh, man.
Watch out, Rebecca.
Yeah, watch out.
How about the Least Expected Joy podcast?
That doesn't even make the least expected joy.
Yeah.
I mean,
a joy least expected.
Joy
Do you like that better?
Sure.
I was trying to be original.
Well, no, it's fine. It's
Actually,
great.
does it mean the same thing?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
I don't think it does.
I was struggling with the meaning.
This one is actually what we should change the name to.
Okay. Don't spoil the wonder with haste.
That means if it takes 4 hours
Yes.
and the wonder stays alive,
right.
then that's what one does.
That's what we're hearing, anyways.
This one I think is really fitting.
Mm-hmm.
The Eyes Only for Aragorn podcast.
Yeah.
Just like Mary, it's only got eyes for Aragorn.
Right. Isn't
Can't
that all
take
of
your
us?
eyes off him.
That's all of us, I think.
Is it
So.
mind control? Maybe.
Possibly.
But if it is, sign me up, bro.
Me too.
No.
Me too.
Wow.
In a land.
Hearing that always gets me excited for Michigan.
It does me too.
A few weeks, we'll be there.
Me
You're going up too, aren't you?
I am. Yeah, I'm planning on
Your journey to start.
taking a trip up north to
PureMichigan.org.
find my own gray company up there. See
Oh,
if I can.
I think it's maize and blue, my friend.
Okay.
What that equals gray when you mix them.
Does it? Wouldn't
I
know.
have no idea.
Wouldn't know.
Bob Ross would know.
All right. Let's see. I think I've lost my spot here.
I will help you.
Okay, thank you.
Behind them, the sons of Elrond walked Legolas and Gimli. But Merry had eyes only for Aragorn. So startling. So this is after he's come down, right?
Yeah.
And so this is important, the transformation that's happened here. So startling was the change that he saw in him, as if in one night many years had fallen on his head. Grim was his face, gray-hued and weary.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So what happened up in that tower?
Yep. Where has he been? Yeah, for sure. Tell me, Theoden, you will ride now to Dunharrow. How long will it be ere you come there? Right. So that was our question before we started, too, right? We were kind of talking about where is Theoden going? You will ride to Dunharrow. How long is it going to take? And it's going to be, it is now a full hour past noon, said Éomer. Before the night of the third day from now, we should come to the hold.
Then Aragorn was silent again,
and
says what he murmurs what I've been murmuring since, I don't know,
yeah,
September. 3 days.
3 days.
3 days. And the muster of Rohan will only be begun, but I see that it cannot now be hastened. He looked up, and it seemed that he had made some decision, and his face instantly is just less troubled.
Yeah.
It's almost like, wow, okay, that made my decision for me.
Mm-hmm.
I know now.
Yeah.
I know.
Yes, he does. Exactly.
I got a timeline that I can act upon.
And the thing is, Theoden is a king in his own right, and he himself knows this land the best.
Yeah.
And he knows what he needs to do to muster his forces.
Yeah. He's got
it will take time. It says that more speed we cannot make if the strength of Rohan is to be gathered.
Yeah.
So that's where we were wondering the path that they take to get to Dunharrow.
Right.
Why does it take them this long?
Yeah.
And it's because they are trying to gather their forces.
Yeah.
So I think that's
Maximize
really
their impact.
Yes.
Yep.
Really neat. So, boy, he Aragorn sort of says, that we must take our own road, and that he will ride east by the swiftest way, and I will take the paths of the dead.
And I love how and I love how he asks for his leave too.
Mm-hmm.
Just again, the humility paired with the confidence. Like he really wouldn't ever have to do that.
No, he would not.
But he is in the service of King Theoden right now, and he recognizes that that he is the king of this people, and that's something you did back in the day.
Yeah,
I asked for your leave
when he's in his land,
right?
And that's
true.
That's what I was thinking.
He's not in Gondor. Yeah,
yeah, and so it's sort of like, wow, okay, that things have changed. He's very conscious of that, because I was thinking too, why ask for leave? But he's being courteous. Mm-hmm. He could just go, but why? We're going. We're allies here,
right.
And so he shows the courtesy because he knows that Theoden, especially the way in which he expresses himself and talks about seeking counsel for himself and my kindred, that they have their own path to take, and he does. Even Éomer is a little bit just sort of like, it's death. It's death to take the paths of the dead.
Right.
Why?
Theoden trembles.
Yeah. Right. Their gate is in Dunharrow, but no living man may pass it. Now that's interesting. So that answers my question, right? Remember we said that they have that. There's a spot where their paths cross. They don't necessarily. They have already gone through. The Grey Company will have passed through Dunharrow. They go to Edoras first. Mm-hmm. They go straight there, while Theoden musters some of his forces, and then directly goes south to Dunharrow. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then it will be later on that Theoden will come back that way, and instead of taking the gate or the path of the dead, he will head back to Edoras and then move down south on the other side of the range. So it's just kind of crazy to. Yeah. I wanted to really get that ingrained in my mind, just this visual of where Aragorn is going, because I was always confused as to why. I know where Edoras is, and it's like, why didn't King Theoden just go there? Isn't that where all of his people would be? Isn't that where he would muster some of his forces? Where are they coming from? Mm-hmm. But while he's in this region, it makes sense to me now that you would go
pick him up.
And, yeah, exactly. Along the way,
carpool.
Right? Come on. Well, and you see the king with his forces out moving around. That's not just we're going to send
it's a rallying cry.
Yeah, we're not going to just send like a raven, for example, or some summons. The king is here. Yeah. And I am calling you to come with us. Yeah. And so that's more
your
powerful.
Leader comes to you in person, you're like, yeah, I'm in, bro. Okay.
Grab your swords.
Let's go.
So, yeah, they have a little conversation there. And Aragorn assures Éomer that they will meet again. Yeah. Right? They will.
Yep. We'll draw swords on a legal pad.
Right.
Farewell, Lord, said Aragorn. Ride unto great renown. Farewell, Merry. I leave you in good hands. This is beautiful. I leave you in good hands. Better than we had hoped for when we hunted the orcs to Fangorn. Legolas and Gimli will still hunt with me, I hope. But we shall not forget you. We shall not forget you.
Yeah.
And I love how just Merry's reaction. Goodbye, said Merry. He could find no more to say. He felt very small, and he was puzzled and depressed by all these gloomy words. More than ever, he missed the unquenchable cheerfulness of Pippin.
Yeah.
The riders were ready, and their horses were fidgeting. He wished they would start and get it over.
I imagine how Merry would say his goodbye there, and it's more of just a goodbye. It's not like why are you leaving, but it's sort of a. I mean, he just knows that Aragorn does what he does, and
you know what might also be setting in for him too is like the people I know most in this crowd are leaving.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I feel this connection to Theoden, but what if that changes?
Yeah.
Like this. I'm
Talk
with
about a scary
group,
time for him.
Yeah, I'm with a group of people that. Yeah, he's like on his own.
Yeah.
Like even Pippin has Gandalf.
Right.
Merry has no one he's known before.
Yes. Yep. It's a tough spot. So Éomer, lifts his hand up. He cries aloud, and with that, the riders set forth. They rode over the dike and down the coombe, and then turning swiftly eastwards, they took a path that skirted the foothills for a mile or so until bending south, it passed back among the hills and disappeared from view.
It was when I read this paragraph that I thought, I've got to find Ezra on that.
Yeah.
I gotta find him a map.
Right. Exactly.
Anytime there are directions and movement and landmarks all within, like 5 of them within one paragraph, I'm like, Ezra's got to, he has to see this. He's got to know.
Yeah.
It's my duty.
Exactly.
To help bring that to life for him.
Wow. It's something, yeah, because they go in those foothills there. Really,
Yeah.
They go south right there.
Yep.
So, anyways, yeah, there go 3 that I love.
Oh, I love this line.
The smallest, not the least. Right? Wow. He definitely does, and he does, and he truly does love Mary, and this is what's best for him. He knows not to what end he rides, yet if he knew, he still would go on. I mean,
all right, I'm done.
I'm done, right? Yeah.
I can't do it anymore. I'm about to cry.
Stick a fork in me.
On the verge of losing it.
I know. So it's interesting too, and this is where they're kind of talking about guarding the Shire folk. Halbrod kind of talks about them being, little do they know of our long labor for the safekeeping of their borders, and yet I grudge it not. And Aragorn says, and now our fates are woven together, and yet alas, here we must part. When I thought of that, I was just sort of like, man, yeah, you guarded that region for a very important ring bearer to come forth.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, it was kept safe, and it was everyone does their part.
Yep.
And the only one who could bear the ring would come from that land.
Yeah.
Would come from the Shire.
Yep.
It makes sense.
Yep.
It really does.
Yep.
No other could have done it.
Well, he's got to eat.
Absolutely does. Yeah.
He's famished. He's had a long night and no sleep. And this is where we get into some. I have holy S bleep bleep.
Go ahead.
Holy
go ahead.
Lord. Just off to the margin.
Mm-hmm.
So they go back into the burg, and again, for some time, Aragorn sits silent. He's at the table, and the others are waiting for him to speak. And it's Legolas who's like, "Come on, man. Be comforted. Speak. Shake off the shadow."
Yeah.
Right. That's another great name for a podcast.
Yes, it is.
What happened since we came back to this grim place in the gray morning? Again, if you total up gray, shadow, all these synonyms, you'd be in the 40s or 50s.
Yeah.
A struggle, somewhat grimmer for my part than the battle of the Hornburg, answered Aragorn. I have looked in the stone of Orthanc, my friends. You have looked in that accursed stone of wizardry, exclaimed Gimli, with fear and astonishment in his face. Did you say aught to him? Even Gandalf feared that encounter. You forget to whom you speak, said Aragorn sternly, and his eyes glinted. What do you fear that I should say to him? Did I not openly proclaim my title before the doors of Edoras? Again, tying it back to that moment.
Yes. Yep.
Nay, Gimli, he said in a softer tone, and the grimness left his face, and he looked like one who has labored in sleepless pain for many nights. Nay, my friends, I am the lawful master of the stone, and I had both the right and the strength to use it, or so I judged. The right cannot be doubted. The strength was enough. Barely. This is just, I guess it's even better in my mind's eye, but to have seen this, like the power.
I because I know there's some, it's just better. It's better to imagine it.
It is.
It's so.
It's almost like you couldn't. I don't know if you could execute this in a way that you can do. So he drew a deep breath. It was a bitter struggle, and the weariness is slow to pass. I spoke no word to him, and in the end, I wrenched the stone to my own will. So again, strength in silence.
Silence. I was going to say that. Yep.
That alone he will find hard to endure, and he beheld me. Yes, Master Gimli, he saw me, but in other guise than you see me here. If that will aid him, then I have done ill. But I do not think so. To know that I lived and walked the earth was a blow to his heart. How refreshing to hear that the Dark Lord has a blow to his heart.
Yep.
All this stuff is all about his strength building and him being unfazed. And here we go. We have a moment where this king comes out of the shadows, out of the gray, right?
Yeah.
Proclaims himself, and it just he says it right here, just the knowledge that he walks the earth. Not that he is here getting ready to face him down, but just that he survives is a blow to him. I deem, for he knew it not till now. The eyes in Orthanc did not see through the armor of Theoden, but Sauron has not forgotten Isildur and the sword of Elendil. Now, in the very hour of his great designs, the heir of Isildur and the sword are revealed. For I showed the blade reforged to him. He is not so mighty yet that he is above fear. Nay, doubt ever gnaws him.
Yeah.
Like the ultimate flex, bro.
Now, the other thing, that doubt ever gnaws him.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what silence does. You don't know
what to do.
You have no idea, though.
Yeah.
He could have said something.
Yeah.
And he chose not to.
Yeah.
And honestly, try this the next time you're in an argument. Next time you're in some conflict.
Yeah.
Not saying something is, it's something, because I just think about that. Like he gives no indication.
Provides no fuel.
Nothing.
Yep.
I'm here. That's
Yeah.
it. And he doesn't even have to say that.
You don't even know where I am.
He's
but
just
I'm
with
here.
his will,
Yep.
taking back control. And
I'm prepared. Look at what I have.
yeah, yes. Yeah, exactly. The more that Sauron would, let's say, use his words or try to persuade, he's a deceiver, right? And things, and trying to, I don't know,
The weaker.
gain control. It makes him look weaker.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's such a cool thing. And so that doubt, when he doesn't get a dialogue with him, when he doesn't get that doubt just grows and grows.
Yeah.
What's he going to do?
Where is he? What's he doing?
What's
Who's he
his
with?
thought? I can't get any read on his temperament. I have no idea.
How did he reforge this blade?
Nothing. Yeah. So, anyways, amazing.
I love Gimli's next line. He says, but he wields great dominion nonetheless, and now he will strike more swiftly. The hasty stroke goes oft astray, said Aragorn.
Mm-hmm.
So again, kind of that whole idea where before he felt it, Frodo felt it, Gandalf felt it, that they didn't act with enough haste.
Mm-hmm.
And here he is. I don't know. It's almost like stuff's starting to line up, and he's like, okay, I'm seeing more clearly. I have more of an idea. I think about him at Parth Galen and at the Falls of Rauris and Amonhen, right?
Yeah, Amonhen, yeah.
And he's just like, he felt like he had no vision. He felt like there was a fog around him and he couldn't see. And now it's the exact opposite.
Yep.
He sees clearly. And there he had the doubt.
Yep.
He doubted every decision. He said, every decision I made is wrong. I've waited too long. And here he is seeing there's strength in not being hasty.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like Treebeard speaking through him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he's learning it's the hasty stroke that goes wrong.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Quickly.
It is. Here's another situation. Let's say you're being taunted, and someone, it seems like, and even to everyone else around you, it seems like that person has the upper hand. But if you knew that by not saying, because he has his cards.
Yeah.
He does know what he can do, and he has a plan.
Yeah.
And sometimes almost to make it known, you want to say, well, look what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
But bam, in your face.
Yeah.
But no. It's hard to do.
Dude.
It's very hard to do.
You got to know when
to
to hold 'em. Know when to fold 'em. Know when to walk.
Oh, boy. Okay. Awesome.
Gonna take the paths of the dead.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So, yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. Wow. Well, all right. Here we go. So, you good? You all right?
Yeah, time travel's an amazing thing. Almost no time has passed, and I went to the bathroom really quickly.
That's fantastic.
I
Well
feel,
done, my friend.
I feel emptied and ready for the next half of this chapter.
Yeah. The Paths of the Dead. Here we go. It's a fell name, right?
Oh, yeah.
The living have never used that road since
Yeah.
the coming of the Rohirrim, said Aragorn, for it is closed to them. But in this dark hour, the heir of Isildur may use it, if he dare. Yeah, exactly. So, the Elrond's sons bring this word to him.
Okay, bro, and is this the third word that's been spoken?
Yep.
Jeezy.
Yep. Bid Aragorn remember the words of the seer and the paths of the dead.
Gosh. Macbeth the seer.
Yeah, Malbeth, the seer in the days, of what is that?
Arvanui.
Arvadui.
Yep.
Arvadui. Yeah.
Yeah, Arvadui. Is that right?
Sure. Last king of Fornost.
Yeah.
Said Aragorn.
Yeah.
So should we read this? This is just the words of the seer that we should. Okay. Over the land there lies a long shadow, westward reaching wings of darkness. The tower trembles to the tombs of kings. Doom approaches. The death awaken. For the hour is come for the oath breakers at the stone of Eric. They shall stand again and hear there a horn in the hills ringing. Whose shall the horn be? Who shall call them from the gray twilight? The forgotten people, the heir of him to whom the oath they swore. From the north shall he come. Need shall drive him, and that's the key, right? Need shall drive him.
Mm-hmm.
He shall pass the door to the paths of the dead.
Oh my gosh, dude. Okay, so while you were reading that, I just looked up Arvadui a little bit.
Okay.
And let me make sure I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Arvadui.
Let's have David Sallow.
Arvedui.
Okay, Arvadui. Here you go, guys. David Sallow helping us out.
Arvedui.
Arvadui.
Okay.
Pretty good.
Thank you.
So Arvadui Kirden. He just read this little snippet here. So when the Witch King descended from the north, he captured Fornost, and pushed most of the Dunedain out of the kingdom.
Uh-huh.
It was he and his followers that rescued several heirlooms of Arnor, including the Ring of Barahir, which is Aragorn's ring,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and the Palantir of Amansul and Anuminas.
Wow. Holy smokes.
So just very wow.
That's cool. That's really neat.
Yeah.
Dang.
So a very important dude.
Yeah.
Very important dude.
Who was Macbeth here? Malbeth. I mean, who's that? You want to look that up? That's pretty cool.
Macbeth. I'm getting a lot of Shakespeare stuff here.
Macbeth the Seer.
See, this is...
Malbeth.
Hey, Phil, fill us in. This is where I'd love to just call Phil.
Yeah, it's hotline. Yeah.
He's on Discord, right? So just check us, Phil. Make sure we're doing this all correctly here.
Mm-hmm.
He is the seer, after all. Malbeth was a seer and royal counselor gifted with foresight, who is remembered in lore for 2 prophecies concerning the fate of the descendants of Isildur. Wow. Yeah.
That's awesome. All right.
Okay.
Well, remember him.
His gender is unknown.
Okay.
So that's interesting.
His gender is unknown.
Wow. It's gender.
All right. The Seer.
So he's talking about just his prophecies being fulfilled, how it was about Aragorn. His name in Sindarin is Sindarin for golden word. Mal means gold. Peth becoming lenited to birth, meaning word or voice.
Huh.
So golden word. So
Wow.
what he speaks is
Pay attention.
gold.
Let's go. That's awesome. All right. So, yeah, again, this all sounds...
Pretty grim.
Yeah, it sounds...
Pretty gray.
Sounds gray and grim.
If you will.
Yeah, and Aragorn says, if you would understand them better, then I bid you to come with me. For that way I now shall take, but I do not go gladly. Only need drives me. Yeah. And it's this, I'm not sure if he says this, if we've already passed it, but he talks about why what he saw, and that may be coming up.
Yeah.
But he says, I will go with you on the paths of the dead, and to whatever end that they may lead, said Gimli. And Legolas says that he also will go. He does not fear the dead. I hope that the forgotten people will not have forgotten how to fight, Gimli said. Well said. Yeah, and they're gonna figure that out when they get to Eric. So, oh boy! But the oath that they broke was to fight against Sauron. So here's some of the history, right behind all this, and why this is important. Yeah. They must fight, therefore, if they are to fulfill their oath, right? So they broke it. And we can read some of it, or we can kind of summarize it here. But so for Eric, there stands yet a black stone that was brought, it was said, from Numenor by Isildur, and it was set upon a hill, and upon it the king of the mountains swore allegiance to him in the beginning of the realm of Gondor.
Yeah.
But when Sauron returned and grew in might against Isildur, summoned the men of the mountains to fulfill their oath, and they would not, for they had worshipped Sauron in the dark for years. And I actually kind of thought when we were talking about the show and what we might see, the rise of Sauron deceiving these men in the mountain, and Isildur, this stone being placed here and this swearing of allegiance, because maybe we'll get before that.
Yeah.
But this would be a part of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be around that time. So I thought it was interesting.
And when you said that too, my mind went to, well, where was the stone?
Where was the stone?
Where was this stone in Numenor?
Yeah.
Like, what was it? Was it his bowling ball? Like, what did he use it for? And it says, the Tolkien Gateway, it says that this stone is a symbol of his lineage.
Uh-huh. Yes.
Which is just very interesting to think about.
Right.
And it's huge, dude. We learn about how big it is. It's like 6 feet in diameter. So you're thinking a small stone, and then you get this visual set upon a hill. Just the transportation of this thing too, man. It's just unbelievable.
Are you reading on Gateway there?
Yes, my friend.
Just read some of this. So like,
yeah.
The shape, it's roughly, as you said, 6 feet in diameter.
Yep.
Okay. We talked about the King of the Dead swore his allegiance there to Isildur.
Yep.
To Isildur's cause during at the time of the last alliance, because he failed to fulfill his oath. The Oathbreakers haunted the hills until they made good their promise. The stone became a mysterious and eerie place, shunned by the people of the valley, who claimed it had fallen from the sky.
Yep.
And was haunted by restless spirits.
And we get that kind of later on, that detail.
Yes.
And I love that too, because it's so interesting how we have like natural, or it's funny how like through history, right?
Mm-hmm.
What something was intentionally or originally intended for, that gets kind of made into mythology. Like that's lost is what I'm saying, right? Like we don't,
mm-hmm.
I'm thinking of like Stonehenge, right?
Yeah,
we have no idea how they did that.
Mm-hmm.
We have no idea how that was built. And only recently have we figured out what we think it might have been used for, right? That it's this big calendar type deal. But like how long were people going, I don't know what it was. I don't know what it's used for. It's a mystery, right? How that stuff is kind of lost. But how it's Aragorn who knows the purpose of this stone.
Mm-hmm.
And what it was used for originally, that it didn't fall from the sky. It's not some kind of,
Interesting. Huh. And he knew, wow. Here's something interesting. This is just theory and speculation, things that I was looking at the article that I put in the doc, and I'll have to give credit to this person later. I apologize. It's a blog post. But it's this... I guess, and this is from some of his letters that Tolkien wrote, and they ask him about the stone. And I guess in earlier drafts, the stone was a Palantir, but he abandoned that idea. Yeah, he abandoned that idea and simply made it a covenant stone, a stone in where. But if you look at its shape and you look at how big it was, it's almost like it's this.
The one that was in Osgiliath. Remember that stone?
Yes,
it was huge.
Huge. So it makes you think that now. What are its properties? Was there something about it? Because this person is making the case that it seemed as if almost Sauron did not know of the stone.
Yeah.
And that this was a place that they used to make this secret pact. And that he called this king of the mountain here.
Yeah.
And this was a spot. It was also, I think of the Numenor coming and almost as a, I don't know, why this hill? Why is this the spot that they chose? You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Because around this area is where their ships kind of came in, right? Dal Amroth and northern, up along that coast is where they came in. So, I don't know. It's just really interesting as to what he was thinking about in regards to this stone. Christopher Tolkien went on to talk about another sort of covenant stone with Errol, and there's more to that, which is different but similar. So yeah, just some cool stuff around this place. Where, as you say, it was significant enough that it was brought over.
Yeah,
salvaged.
Yeah,
saved almost maybe.
And I guess probably something that historically peoples would have done. You know, they would have had meeting places on hills where they made oaths,
Sure.
right? And possibly upon a stone, like
And
a stone of some significance.
Take this a little bit further. So, is it that Isildur, the curse that is put on these people, does it have something to do with the stone? Because they are called back to the stone, and it's almost a place where, you know what I mean?
It's a touchstone.
It's well, I mean, it's something that could release them from there's some magical bit to that, right?
Yeah, for sure. Oh, absolutely.
So what is it that causes them to haunt these lands? Is it some power that the Númenóreans had, or was it something around the stone? Did the stone have some ability that would bind them bind their word? I don't know. And then the fact that they're being called back to it and to fulfill their oath at this place is interesting as well.
And also, if the stone is bound into is there a sword in the stone?
I don't think so.
Is Arva Dewey really Arthur?
Maybe. Who's Merlin?
And is he a Marlins fan?
I don't know. All questions we're going to have to get to the bottom of here, so.
We'll never know. We'll never know.
Yeah,
How dare you?
maybe it's out there somewhere. Christopher's still alive. Let's talk to him. All right.
God bless him.
So, let's move on here. Where are we at? Then Isildur said to their king, "Thou shalt be the last king, and of the west prove mightier than thy black master. This curse I lay upon thee and thy folk, to rest never until your oath is fulfilled." And that's where I was just kind of saying, is it Isildur? Is it just his curse? Or is there maybe I can almost see his hand on the stone making the curse, some power that he's, using. I don't know. Be kind of cool. So for the war will last through years uncounted. Wow. And you shall be summoned once again. Near the end.
So the foresight there,
The
too.
foresight. Yeah. What is that?
The trait that they have.
Crazy. So anyways, they,
It almost makes you wonder, like, would Isildur have also seen his own demise in some form?
Yeah.
You know, and just fate.
Right.
Was he powerless to help it? Did he not see it in the moment when he was kind of, consumed with the ring, and it wouldn't have mattered if he'd had known before anyway? That's crazy, isn't it?
It is crazy. Yeah, it's interesting to see sort of like
the perspective or
it's almost like, what is it in their own will and in their own control that they could use something. Because I think you can pervert some of this stuff, like whether it's a Palantir or whatever, some object. What could you see with it? And like Galadriel's mirror, like there are things that, like, it depends on who you are and what you're seeking, what your intents are, what your purpose is. I don't know. Yeah. So, yeah. All right. So let's see, Legolas and Gimli, they go on just a little bit more talking about what will happen at the Hill of Erech and how the sleepless dead there will congregate as well. So anyways, they head off though, because we still have to get to Edoras, right? So we have to... here we go, friends. Let's just keep going here.
Tally-ho.
Sorry about that.
There's some powerful stuff there, too.
Yes, there is. So let's get to that then. Let's
Yes.
So while Theoden heads on down and he's gathering his forces, the Grey Company passed swiftly over the plain, and on the next day in the afternoon they came to Edoras, and there they halted briefly. Ere they passed up the valley, and so came to Dunharrow as darkness fell. Now wait a second.
It's just saying they only briefly halted there before they went, and you read it right.
Briefly halted where? Edoras?
Edoras, yeah. You got it.
Okay, cool. All right. Lady Awen greeted them, and she's in charge, right? So she's in charge there.
Yep.
I mean, this whole bit is just really...
Put on Aragorn. I almost mispronounced his name. Shame. But on Aragorn, most of all her eyes rested.
Yeah, the men
I can totally see where they got the whole in the films, making it this like romantic and there's no real clear. I mean, Eowyn is probably in love with Aragorn.
Okay, yeah.
Mary is.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, yeah. Who would
you are?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's just
Yeah.
What, me?
Yeah.
Sure.
So
I don't even like him, dude. He's kind of boring. He's sort of a boring character.
Get him out of here. So when she'd heard the battle in Helm's Deep and the great slaughter of their foes and of the charge of Theoden and his knights, then her eyes shone. She hadn't heard much the tidings were they didn't get much word, so she didn't get a lot of details. So now she does.
And also just like the idea that she comes alive when she hears about battle.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's
Yes,
something
yes.
that she desires. She
Yes.
wants to be a
Shieldman,
warrior. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Oh boy, so she wants to kind of get that. She does her thing, rest here. She's assuming that they're waiting for Theoden, that they're mustering the forces that
Yeah.
they'll be here. But no, nay, lady, be not troubled for us if we may lie here tonight and break our fast tomorrow. It will be enough. They're moving on. He has an urgent errand. She smiled on him. Then it was kindly done, Lord, to ride so many miles out of your way to bring tidings to Eowyn. And that's where, again, people are getting that bit, and to speak with her in her exile. Ugh, there's already a little like, I want to be out there fighting.
I love it, man.
I can do this.
Yeah. Isn't it great?
Yes. But and he's so courteous in his reply, right? And indeed, no man would count such a journey wasted, said Aragorn. And yet, lady, I could not have come hither if it were not that the road which I must take leads me to Dunharrow. So he's just saying, I'm about my business here. But yeah, again, it's definitely not a waste to stop by and see beautiful Eowyn.
Yeah.
In so many ways.
Yeah.
So many ways. So yeah.
She just said that there's, that would be a wasted trip because there's no road that runs out of Harrowdale.
Yes.
And that's because I'm
not taking the road
path
that you
of the
think.
dead.
That's right. Yep. And that's where she's stricken. She doesn't understand why
She
he's
turns white.
Yeah. Is your errand to seek death? Right.
Yeah.
Right. That
in a way, kind of.
To her, even their horses know that this is not a way. We'll see that later. Legolas will have to calm his horse, right?
Yeah.
Calm
your horse.
Calm your horse. You're losing it. He's losing it over there, Prince.
Quarter to 2 in the morning. You bet your bum.
You better believe. But this madness, she said, for here are men of renown and prowess whom you should not take into the shadows.
Yeah, she's talking about.
But you should lead to war where men are needed. I beg you to remain here and to ride with her brother. And that's what he wants as well, right? Éomer wants it as well. But he says, it's not madness, lady, for I go on a path appointed. Say that again. For I go on a path appointed. Jay-mini.
That is something I miss. Vigo is perfect.
He's great. He's great.
But you don't get that in the films.
I know.
Not
and
until
he
the
could have
very end.
He could have been what we're reading here.
I know.
He could have portrayed it. It's just their decision. It was Peter Jackson's decision.
It was the way it was written. It's the way it was created, and or adapted, I guess. And it's just, it's a bummer, man.
It is. It is because he totally could have. I could still, even when I'm reading this, I picture Vigo, and I just picture him acting in this way, and this is who he is.
Yes,
which is cool. Which is really neat. So yeah. So anyways, they kind of go back and forth here, and he, what really.
They eat in silence, but her eyes were ever upon Aragorn, and the others saw that she was in great torment of mind.
Yeah.
At length they arose and took their leave of the lady and thanked her for her care, and they went to rest. And this is when she comes to him. Calls out to him. He turns and sees her as a glimmer in the night, for she was clad in white, but her eyes were on fire. Why are you taking this deadly road? I do not choose paths of peril, Eowyn. Were I to go where my heart dwells, far in the north, I would now be wandering in the fair valley of Rivendell. Like, this isn't what I want. This is what I have to do.
Yes.
For a while she sat silent, or she was silent, as if pondering what this might mean. Then suddenly she laid her hand on his arm. It's just beautifully written, and you can see this.
I know. Yep.
You can see this relationship. It's just, and it's alluded to. It's not. You get to imagine. You are a stern lord and resolute, she said, and thus do men win renown. She paused. Lord, she said, if you must go, then let me ride in your following, for I am weary of skulking in the hills and wish to face peril and battle. And this is where he talks about her duty, is to her people. Too often I have heard of duty, but am I not of the house of Earl, or Earl, as I say, a shield maiden and not a dry nurse? I have waited on faltering feet long enough. Since they falter no longer, it seems May I not now spend my life as I will.
Yeah. Yep.
And he's saying few may do that with honor.
Mm-hmm.
But as for you, lady, did you not accept the charge to govern the people until their lord's return? If you had not been chosen, then some marshal or captain would have been set in the same place, and he could not ride away from his charge. So he's just saying it doesn't matter that you're a woman. If a man was in the same position, that's what you've been asked to do.
Yeah. On that note,
Yeah.
it is. That's a really good point, because regardless, someone has to be here.
Yeah. And so he's showing her that this is a noble duty.
We still love her for what she does, and
absolutely.
I mean, you see this in her, and I think again there may be, an elderly captain, someone else who could, like she says, I can wield a sword.
Yeah.
I am a shield maiden.
Yeah.
So she has the fire in her eyes. There may be another choice, and that's we'll get to that later, but. Yeah, I mean that's so, but it's still this honor that is bestowed on her to govern and to protect these people, but it is a great honor,
and it's all how we see it too, right? And you see here how she and Mary are so similar.
Yes,
right. She feels like baggage. She says, "Shall I always be chosen?" She said bitterly, "Shall I always be left behind when the riders depart to mind the house while they win renown and find food and beds when they return?" And Aragorn says, a time may come when none will return. Then there will be need of valor without renown, for none shall remain. And he just says, yet the deeds will not be less valiant because they are unpraised.
And dude, that's a huge line. That's actually I don't want to gloss over it. So yet the deeds will not be less valiant because they are unpraised.
I tell kids at school all the time.
Yep.
I can't wait to elaborate it more on it next year, because it's usually in passing. I see kids messing around. I'm like, remember, it's important to do the right thing, especially when no one's watching.
All the time. Yep. Really, my friend. I mean, let me just on that note. In my life crisis that I've had, I literally, where I found peace was to say that what matters is between me and God. And I felt a peace when I said that. Yeah. And I felt
There's
good.
a reason for that. Yeah.
There is.
Yeah.
And I felt like I don't need anyone else to tell me. I know. I need to know. I need to understand who I am. And that's why I feel this resolution in Aragorn, that he's sort of like, we know what we have to do. Yeah. So you think of the Rangers, and like they don't need the praise. They didn't need any praise or anything to.
They don't get it.
No, they don't. to watch the Shire and things.
Yeah.
And they would do it all over again.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
That's how you travel through life.
And they felt no. What did he say? Halbarad, what did he say about he felt no? He grudged Mary not.
Exactly.
That there was no knowledge of what he had done.
Yep.
That it was an honor. And
That's like giving gifts things too. It's sort of like I love to do stuff anonymously and just be like, and to never ever let them know.
Yep.
Who cares?
Yep.
I got the experience. I don't know. Yeah. So, anyways, I thought it was a cool line.
Oh, it's amazing.
Connects in a lot of ways.
And she says, all your words are but to say, you are a woman, and your part is in the house. But when the men have died in battle and honor, you have leave to be burned in the house, for the men will need it no more. But I am of the house of Eorl, and not a serving woman. I can ride and wield blade, and I do not fear either death or pain.
Yep.
And then he just says, what do you... I love this, because this is in the film. This is something they nail. What do you fear, lady? He asked. A cage, she said, to stay behind bars until use and old age accept them, and all chance of doing great deeds is gone beyond recall or desire.
This is... Think of when this was written.
I know. I was just going to say, Tolkien... Yeah. No. Yeah. You get it there. You're like, Tolkien was ahead of his time, man. I'm like, and after watching the movie, and you think about Edith, right? And the force that Edith was in his life.
Yep.
And all that she did for him, and his mother, the strong figure his mother was, and how she opened this world of magic to him.
Yep.
And I think he had to have read all those stories and been like, God, damsel in distress, damsel in distress, damsel in distress. I'm going to do that right. I'm going to create a damsel who creates distress.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? I'm going to create a woman who does what no man can do.
Yep. Dude, here's something else. All right, we talked in the beginning about how when Gandalf met Theoden, the way that Tolkien weaved this story is that Gandalf looks good and Theoden looks good. They both came out looking good. The decision by Theoden to put her in charge, through Aragorn, his words say that's a good choice, and there's honor in that, and that's a good thing. But then also, with her lines right here and talking about who she is, knowing her own nature, knowing her own abilities and what she can do, she also comes out on top here too, like looking as like she knows what's best for her.
Yep.
And so in both senses, it's sort of like, it's not a bad thing that Theoden put her in charge. No. It's a great honor. I mean, it's sort of like this is who he trusts to put in charge of all of his people.
Right.
And then, but she knows that she can do much more in the field, and that's where she's called to be, and she's drawn in that way. So it's one of those things like both sides look really good, and it's just, I don't know.
And he probably thought that he was honoring her by making that decision, right?
Yes.
He might not know that this is part of her desire. Maybe she hasn't expressed it to him in the same way she's expressing it to Aragorn right now.
Well, think about he had to ask leave of Theoden. He had his own counsel. He knew what was best for him and his people and his path. She knows hers. Yeah, right. And there are other people who could do what she's going to do. Yeah. She has a higher calling. It's nothing against what she's bit her task.
Yeah, so in that way, you're right. Aragorn and her path are very similar.
Yeah.
They're saying the same things.
Right.
So I was reading this, and I was like outside this afternoon.
Yeah.
And Winnie was asleep in the wagon.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking about like how my this little girl who looks like she could be from Rohan, right? This little blonde-haired, strawberry blonde hair, and she's just sitting there sleeping. And I'm thinking like, this will be so cool to read to her someday. Yeah. Because she's already wild. And she already does stuff, and I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, she is gonna be.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
She's gonna want to be, she's gonna want to be she's gonna wear she has a ballet skirt she wears, but she climbs on everything. You know, she's whatever she wants to be. And it was just really powerful to have this fresh in my mind and look at her and just think, and I always wanted, this is just an aside, but I always I was like, I'll know how to be a father to boys, right? And I thought, that's all we'll have. We'll have boys. And now I can't imagine having a son. Yeah. In the same way I thought I wouldn't enjoy having daughters, and this is total clarity, as like a teenager, as a younger man. Yep. Now I don't know how I'd enjoy having a son. Yeah. I love having daughters. Like they are. Yeah. They're the best, dude. Yeah. They're the absolute best.
Yep. That's awesome.
So I see Winnie a little bit in Eowyn.
Yeah.
Eowyn.
Yeah. Eowyn. Absolutely. I do too. Yeah.
Eowyn and Sharwyn.
It's that spirit, man.
Yeah.
It's that spirit she has. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So anyways, Aragorn turns her down, right? And she is turned away here, and she kind of heads back and does her thing, and she vanishes into the night, right? So Eowyn kind of departs there. Now the next day, when they get up, they're making ready to depart. His company was all mounted. He was about to leap into his saddle when Lady Eowyn came to bid him farewell.
A third time.
Yes, a third time.
Yeah, discussion.
She was clad as a rider. Ready to go.
Ready to go.
She's got her sword and everything.
Yeah.
And then she has the cup, right? And she sets it to his lips, and they drink. They share this moment, right? Wishing him good speed. But then
check out that illustration, man.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. I love it. It's really, really, really good. You can see.
She has her mail on. She has her sword.
Yep. Exactly.
Belted to her waist.
Yeah. Yep. You see Gimli back there, and the rest of them getting ready to go. Oh. So she said, let's see. Farewell, Lady of Rohan. I drink to the fortunes of your house and of you and all of your people. Say to your brother, beyond the shadows we may meet again. Then it seemed to Gimli and Legolas, who were nearby, that she wept. And so she's pleading for him really to not go, to stay. But at the same time,
Let me go with you.
Exactly. Let me
Yeah.
go with you if you're going to go. And he says, I will not. I can't grant that without leave of the king and your brother, and they will not
Yeah.
return, and he must leave now.
Yeah.
And he really wouldn't anyways, just because, like, the king they may need her in this place. So,
But almost like he'd be willing to have that discussion.
yep.
He's like, oh, yeah, if he was here,
Right.
I'd talk to him.
Yes. And if there was
And
someone
if
else
it-
to
and
take
if
the
it-
place,
if it
sure.
was
Yeah.
his decision to,
Because
allow-
he
yeah.
did say these men go with me willingly,
Yeah.
and she willingly wanted to go.
How different would the story have been?
I mean, think about that.
How
She
different
wants to
would it have
walk the
been?
paths of death with Aragorn. That's the kind of, he inspires people to, I don't know. He's something else.
They go with you because they love you.
Right.
You
Right.
know?
So at one point she even starts to beg. She says, I beg thee. And he quickly, nay, lady, he says, and he takes her by the hand and he raises her, and then he kissed her hand, and he sprang into the saddle and rode away and did not look back. And only those who knew him well and were near to him saw the pain that he bore. So as you say, I think
Come on.
there's something in that. Like he's such a, there's that side to him that really, he's such an understanding person, and he, I don't know.
And I guess even if you think about how long he's had to wait for his time,
yeah,
and he's looking at this individual and she's having to wait for her time,
right.
And how he's probably sees himself a little bit in that type, he's been in that same situation
Yeah. Yes.
of just waiting
Yes. Absolutely.
for the right moment. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But wow.
Okay. So yeah, let's move on here a little
Yeah.
bit. Let me see where. Okay.
They come to the dim Holt.
They do. Yes.
And they ride
the
into
haunted mountain.
Haunted mountain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is where, so we're getting towards the end here, and this is. Let me see. Gimli is hilarious in this whole bit. But,
He is.
As they go through here. So they're at the Gate of the Dead, right? And
Trees that even Legolas couldn't stand,
mhm.
which is a wonder, right?
Yeah. They are elvish whites. So this is real quick. I want to read this part.
Oh, yeah.
Some people thought, let them go.
Yeah.
They're elvish whites. Let them go where they belong, into the dark places. So some people were glad to be rid of them.
Yeah.
There was that little
We don't need them. The times are
Peace.
evil enough.
right.
That's what they said. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna skip down here a little bit. The company halted, and there was not a heart among them that did not quail, unless it were the heart of Legolas of the elves, for whom the ghost of men had or have no terror. This is an evil door, said Halbarad, and my death lies beyond it. And my death lies beyond it. I will dare to pass it nonetheless, but no horse will enter. Yeah, we'll come back to that.
I'm also just thinking. I'm sorry. It just
Yeah,
hit me
yeah,
'cause
yeah,
we're talking about the past the dead. We're talking about like how passing is another term for dying.
Mm-hmm.
The passing of
Yep.
the Grey Company. Their ghosts, gray.
Yep.
It's just, dude, like the whole.
So much.
It's like that
Woven.
one. What was that? There was another title we had where I couldn't. I was like, who is this actually talking about? This could be talking about anyone in this chapter. Like I love when he does that. He creates a title that you're like, oh, it's straightforward. It's the passing of the Grey Company. It's the Dunedain passing. Taking the past of the dead. That's what it is. But
Yes.
it's like, no, there's so much
There's
more to that
Mhm.
name.
Yep, there is. There really is. Yeah. Passing of the Grey Company. Wow. It's one of those things too. When you read that title, I think of legends. Just this great
Yeah.
legend that would be told, and
Yeah.
then here it is.
Yeah.
We're reading it. So yeah, Aragorn led the way. Says to follow me. His strength of will is such that all of these men, the Dunedain and their horses followed him, no problem. Right.
Yeah.
Even though that many of the horses of Rohan would not pass that way.
Yeah.
So Legolas's horse has trouble. It's shaking. It's upset, and he this is a really cool part. He kind of puts his hand over its eyes and whispers to it. Sort of speaks to the horse and is able to calm it down and lead the horse into this into the path of the death. right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
Gimli here again, left all alone. His knees shook. He was wroth with himself. Here is a thing unheard of, he said. An elf will go underground and a dwarf dare not.
Yeah.
And with that, he plunged in. So here we are. Oh my goodness.
They talk about just the darkness of it, and then how you know Aragorn had this foresight to bring these torches. And it's cool the change of perspective here, right? Now we get it kind of from Gimli's eyes.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
and his viewpoint from being in the back and feeling like he can't, like, you know, he's seeing all these things happen, and but he doesn't know how much time is passing. He doesn't know, like, he feels like he's always struggling to keep up with the company, and always the thought of this presence behind him, to the point where he wants to just tuck tail and run, but he knows if he did, he's gone. Like that, it's not even an option. The way back, there is no option back.
Yes. Right. Yeah, you're right. And there's this, it's a heavy presence. I mean, he even sees, like in Aragorn, he asked the question, does he feel no fear? They see this glittering in the gloom, and it's, you know, a dwarf would be the first to go seek the gold in the cave.
Yeah.
You know, and he said, but no, he's not. And it ends up being Aragorn. He does move and draw near, and what they see here before him, the bones of a mighty man.
Yeah.
He had been clad in mail, and still his harness lay there whole, for the cavern's air was dry as dust. Wow. His belt was gold, and he had was of gold and garnets, and rich with gold was the helm upon his bony head, face downward on the floor. He had fallen near the far wall of the cave, as now could be seen, and before him stood a stony door, closed fast.
So do we think this was like a man of Rohan trying to go through, or
the way they describe his arm? Yeah,
that's what I was thinking, right?
Yeah, I don't know. His finger bones were still clawing at the cracks. A notched and broken sword lay by him, as if he had hewn at the rock in his last despair. Aragorn,
Jeez, man.
I mean, it's.
Yeah.
I would be turning around. Right?
Yeah.
So Aragorn did not touch him.
It's got to be a man of Rohan, because he just says that the Silbamuna, you know, the flower, wouldn't grow over his grave here.
Yeah. Okay.
9 mounds,
he murmured.
and 7 there are now green with grass, and through all the long years he has lain at the door that he could not unlock. Whither does it lead? Why would he pass? None shall ever know.
What was
what was this individual doing?
Who was so dire?
Was he a king?
Dire need, it seems.
To have a mound outside.
Yep. That's a really. I kind of read through that pretty quickly, so I didn't actually stop to think about that.
That's wild to think about, huh?
Yeah. Okay. Huh. All right. Yeah. Okay. So, anyways, he says.
Oh yeah, just saying, "Let us pass." He's kind of calling out.
Yeah, for this is not my errand, he cried, turning back and speaking to the whispering darkness. Keep your hoards and your secrets hidden in the accursed years. Speed only we ask. Let us pass, and then come. I summon you to the stone of Eric.
Gosh, dude, I love too how we don't really get visuals.
Mm-hmm.
It's just this. It's this this presence that. We're not really seeing it. We're hearing it more than we're even seeing it, really.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it's almost like in good faith that Aragorn trusts that this is what this is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is this force, this army.
Yeah, he just believes, he knows.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, because there was no answer, right?
Gosh.
Unless it were in utter silence, again, more dreadful than the whispers before. So if that silence might have been the answer.
Yeah.
There were whispers, now there's silence. A chill blast came in which the torches flickered and went out and could not be rekindled. Yeah. Seriously?
Yeah.
It's dark.
Can you imagine?
It's dark. So of the time that followed, 1 hour or many, Gimli remembered little.
Yeah.
Others pressed on. He was the hindmost, as you said. He's kind of groping. There's, you can imagine that's. What are they doing? They're stumbling through.
Yeah.
It almost seems like all is lost until they hear this tinkle of water, a sound hard and clear, right? Light grew, and lo, the company passed through another gateway, high arched and broad, and a rill ran out beside them, and beyond, going steeply down, was a road between sheer cliffs, knife edged against the sky far above. Whew.
Dude, this sky is so bizarre too.
Right.
Because it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Right? So deep and narrow was that chasm that the sky was dark, and in it small stars. Yet as Gimli after learned, it was still 2 hours before sunset of the day on which they had set out from Dunharrow. Though for all that he could then tell, it might have been twilight in some later year or in some other world. Trippy.
Where are they in another realm? I mean,
yeah, like another. What's going on?
What's going on here?
And I guess it makes sense that a place where the dead live, it would always be night, because the night, it's dead daytime, right?
Yeah. Yes.
That's when ghosts are out and about. Wow. This very hour. Wow. Creepy, dude.
Yeah.
But this is it's such a different feeling too, isn't it, than like the Barrow Downs?
Yeah. Yes.
Or,
yeah, it is.
What was the other most recent that reminded us of the Barrow Downs?
Oh gosh, that was.
Yeah, what am I thinking of?
Back with Frodo.
Yeah, but there was some. Yeah. Cirith Ungol. That
Yep.
whole kind of eerie, but not really. This is almost like it's so trippy.
Yeah, it's
that
different.
You can't even imagine.
It's right.
It's like fantastic.
It took it's years later, right? That
Yeah.
Gimli kind of figures out what this is, and it says or in some other world, right? So
Right.
twilight of some years later, or in some other world. That right there tells you it's beyond our understanding or comprehension, really. So now Legolas mentions that the dead are following. They actually are able to mount up and kind of ride on once they get through. It seems to kind of widen, and they're not kind of hedged in. It's almost like they come out into this, not clearing, but right. They're able to ride.
And as I have to say it again, man. I mean, the dead are following. The dead are following.
Yeah.
The dead are behind.
Yep.
3 times.
Yep. Yep.
Leave me alone.
Yep. The dead have been summoned. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So they came at last out of the ravine, and suddenly, as if they had issued from a crack in the wall, and there lay the uplands of a great vale before them.
Yeah.
And the stream beside them went down with a cold voice over many falls.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
So it's just this big opening, which in the
they kind of come out.
Yeah, and in the films we don't get this. We're under the mountain the whole time. We're in this giant, like, what feels like a cave. But here it's like, no, we're out. It's almost, dude. Okay, here's what it's almost like. It's almost like that door is a portal or something.
Yeah.
And this whole area is under a spell. But it's not just under the mountain. It's when they come to this big, valley as well, with the hill and the Stone of Erech.
Yeah.
And the villages, right?
Yes, we're going to get to that.
There are villages here.
Right. And so Gimli asks the question, where in Middle-earth are we?
Right.
Right, he says that. And this stream that we just kind of described, that was kind of, it actually carries on. It goes all the way down the long, chill river that flows at last to the sea that washes the walls of Dol Amroth. And so that's where I was like, wow, okay, it's actually, they're just following the stream, and here's where it heads to. So I was confused early on. I thought it was a little bit closer, but it's definitely a ways. The Morthon Vale, right, made a great bay that beat up against the sheer southern faces of the mountain. Its steep slopes were grass grown, but all was gray in that hour. For the sun had gone, and far below lights twinkled in the homes of men. The vale was rich, and many folk dwelt there. Who were they? What?
Yeah.
Is this?
What?
Now I almost wonder: is it descendants of these mountain men? Is it people who is there an element of that as well?
Point.
Because that's what I was wondering. Like, it seemed like
before they died.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like their line continues on. It's their people, right?
Their ghosts are around, but cheesy cow.
It's a very mysterious little veil.
But it's so different. You read this and you're like, okay, you really have to get your head around it, because this is not what what was in the film, right? This is not what a lot of people think of when they think of the past of the dead. You know what I mean? It's so much simpler. It's so much more linear, straightforward. I guess easier to process. Like this is, even Gimli's going, what are we doing? Where are we? Like this is just like nothing I've ever experienced in Middle Earth, you know?
Yeah. You're right though. So as they head down and they head to the Stone of Eric,
They
right?
run away.
Yeah, they cry in terror and in fear. The king of the dead has come upon us. Now still, they could be descendants from this people, and maybe the only people who are.
It's been so long.
Maybe the people of that time,
Right.
who had swore the oath, they are the ones who are cursed and who are under.
Yeah, right.
Right, yeah.
So think about, it'd be like seeing your great-great-great-great-great-grandfather as a
Yes.
ghost. You wouldn't know.
The spirits
right,
of these
he's
people,
related to
yeah.
you.
Yep.
And then I also think it's kind of funny because they're talking about, do they see the king of the dead? Or are they referring to Aragorn?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And at some point, doesn't Aragorn kind of become the king of the dead too?
Yep.
It's just all the levels, man. All the different.
Yeah. So here we go. Long had the terror of the dead lay upon the hill, and upon the empty fields about it. For upon the top stood a black stone, round as a great globe, the height of a man, though its half was buried in the ground. Unearthly it looked, as though it had fallen from the sky, as some believed. But those who remembered still the lore of Westerness told that it had been brought out of the ruin of Numenor, and there set by Isildur at his landing. At his landing. Yeah. Okay. None of the people of the Vale of the Valley dared to approach it, nor would they dwell near, for they said that it was, what does that say? A trysting place of the shadow men, and they would gather in times of fear, thronging around the stone and whispering. Wow. To that stone the company came and halted in the dead of night. Then Elrohir gave to Aragorn a silver horn, and he blew upon it. And it seemed to those that stood near that they heard a sound of answering horns.
My gosh.
As if it was an echo. Do we hear the horn? Do we actually hear it?
Or was it an echo?
Yeah.
Wow.
In deep caverns far away.
Hey, maybe that's what Denethor heard, you know?
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
I don't know.
I don't know. Tom Bombadil.
Yeah.
Imagine if he just came walking out. I'm the king of the dead as well.
Well, yeah, right. Oh, gosh. Oathbreakers, why have ye come? And then this voice that answers, and it says, to fulfill our oath and have peace.
It's good news. We'll take that.
Yeah, we'll take that. The hours come at last. Now I go, and he shall come after me. And when all this land is clean of the servants of Sauron, I will hold the oath fulfilled, and ye shall have peace and depart forever. Pretty cool.
Friam Elisar.
Isildur's heir of Gondor. Yeah.
Gosh. We had a cat named Elisar once.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Named him myself. It's a cool name, isn't it?
It is cool, actually.
Yeah.
So, this is where the gift, right, that Halbarad had talked about earlier, his standard, as you had mentioned, they bring that forth, right?
Yeah.
So the company actually camps beside the stone. They slept little because of the dread of the shadow that hedged around them. It's crazy. They're surrounded by the dead.
It's the haunted hill.
Yeah, it's interesting. What you can't really see right now, but it was black, and if there were any device upon it, it was hidden in the darkness. So that we'll have to wait on, right?
Yeah.
Let's see here. Yeah, let's finish this out. But when the dawn came, cold and pale, Aragorn rose at once, and he led the company forth upon the journey of greatest haste and weariness that any among them had known, save he alone, and only his will held them to go on. No other mortal men could have endured it, none but the Dunedain of the north, and with them Gimli, the dwarf, and Legolas of the elves. That's a piece where I'm like, none. No one else could have done this.
Yeah.
This haste that they had.
And I love how it seems like this would have been the most trying part. Just that waiting and that camping on that hill. This is the point, man. This is where that oath was made. It's how that oath was broken, and it's how the oath is being fulfilled, right?
Yeah, yes.
And it's like it's like 2 or 3 paragraphs and that's it. Isn't that wild?
It is. Will you do me a favor? Will you read the last paragraph if you can? Did you have it there?
I don't know if I have to.
Huh? What?
I can't talk. They passed Tarlang's neck and came into, I always say Lamedon, but it might be Lamedon.
Okay.
And the shadow host pressed behind, and fear went on before them until they came to Calambel upon Kiril, and the sun went down like the blood behind Penethgelin, away in the west behind them. The township and the fords of Kiril they found deserted, for many men had gone away to war, and all that were left fled to the hills at the rumor of the coming of the King of the Dead. But the next day there was no dawn, and the grey company passed on into the darkness of the storm of Mordor, and were lost to mortal sight. But the dead followed them.
Lost to mortal sight. Yeah. Okay. Oh.
I feel lost to mortal sight, don't you? At this point,
I do. I do as well.
How long we've been talking there?
Oh, several hours. Several hours.
Several means 3.
Yeah, several.
Man, but you know
It's
what
cool.
though?
That's cool. It's great. It was a great chapter.
I still feel energized.
I do too.
I don't know if there's another chapter. Well, another chapter we've read so far anyway, where so many interesting and important things happen. Like there were even moments in the last chapter where I'm like, all right, this is kind of,
This one,
it's beautiful, but it's a little boring. I got to be in the right mood to read this one.
Sure.
This chapter, no,
I know.
I'm into every single line.
I was too.
Every single paragraph.
Yep.
You know, I looked ahead and I was like, wow, this is kind of a longer one to read, but it felt like it went by like that.
Yeah. Well, and the next one's long as well. I mean, we've got
our work cut out for us.
We do, because actually there's not many. It's not like the chapters are thick. There's not a lot, but you know what I'm saying? It's
yes.
There's going to be a lot to cover.
Yeah,
so,
my friend.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we've gone over the cool connections, and we've had.
Yeah, they're ingrained, aren't they?
Yeah, we've had a good look at that. I even marked down the time that you. I didn't mark down the time that you had a little break. Good for me. Way to go. Way to go, Ez. Oh boy, here we go.
I say just leave it in there.
I'm gonna leave it in there.
Little chicken nugget.
It was fine. Actually, there was. Yeah, we're good. All right. Bywater Post, my friend. We are on to the Post.
Wow.
And I'm going to get some help with this weekend. I've got a few
posterior
Shire rats who I'm going to seek out to help us gather some of these stories. They're fantastic. So this one is from Cody Cross.
Cody Cross.
Yeah.
Do you want to trade paragraphs? Or?
Yeah, we'll go back and forth.
Hey, Lane and Ez.
How's it going? I've been listening to you guys since day one. Day one? Wow. Since you started this great podcast, I am such a huge fan and would love to contribute to your content. I had never heard of Tolkien or Middle-earth before. It wasn't until The Fellowship came out on the big screen that I heard anything about The Lord of the Rings.
Join the club, my brother. It's a great story on how I came to love Lord of the Rings, and I'd love to share it with you. My mom, brother, and I went shopping one day when we decided to see a movie. To my recollection, nothing good was playing, and we decided to see The Fellowship. Wow. Never have heard about Tolkien. I had no idea what was in store for me when the prologue opened up with this epic battle of the Last Alliance. At that time, I didn't know anything about this world. When they showed the major battle in the beginning, I was instantly hooked. It was if I was in a trance viewing that gorgeous cinematography. It is breathtaking, isn't it? Mm-hmm. I've always been the geek in my family and have always loved jumping into the world of fantasy. My mom, on the other hand, had issues keeping up with the storyline and kept asking me questions on what was going on in the movie. I couldn't answer her at that point because I had no knowledge of Tolkien's works. But every time a suspenseful part came up, my nervous mom kept getting up and leaving the theater to, quote unquote, go to the bathroom. She was in the bathroom the whole movie, I bet.
Yeah.
It was clear as day that she couldn't handle the suspenseful and nerve-wracking parts of the film. I, on the other hand, was in love with the action happening on the big screen.
Yeah. After seeing The Fellowship and experiencing this new world through film, I had the urge to go there myself. I finally bought the Tolkien trilogy and started to read. Well, like most people, when you get to Tom Bombadil in the book, I started to get kind of bored with his singing and the dancing. Really? No,
I've been there too.
Yeah.
Yep.
I put the book down and never opened it again.
Wow.
The only books I had read at the time by Tolkien were The Hobbit, The Children of Húrin.
Wow.
Wow, that's awesome, actually, for
Yeah, it
kudos.
is. Yeah, it is.
After reading The Children of Húrin, I resparked my interest in Tolkien. I started to read other books on Middle-earth, and this time I would stick with it. It wasn't until my late 20s until I picked up The Fellowship again. I gave it a good read and made it through.
Who would have guessed that all of this started in the trenches of Europe with a hobbit writing down on a piece of paper? I don't think Tolkien would ever realize that his brilliant works would become famous and that he would grow such a huge fan base.
Yeah, no kidding. There are two things that I like about Tolkien. His great mind and imagination to create this amazing world, as well as his deep friendship with C.S. Lewis.
Yeah.
Tolkien's stories have taught me to hold on to hope in the dark times of living in the 21st century.
Yeah. Lane Inez, I appreciate you making this podcast happen. I love how you bring the huge group of totally awesome nerds together. You provide a platform to gather a bunch of strangers and provide them the opportunities to create long-lasting friendships. If there was ever a major battle at Middle-earth, I couldn't have asked to fight and die along with such a great group of people.
Let's go, Cody.
Well said, Cody. I mean,
Let's go. I mean,
took the words right out of...
He's in the company.
Yes, he is.
He's in the company.
Yes, he is.
He came from the north.
One of the 30.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. That's really cool.
Cheers to you, brother.
Really awesome. Yeah,
wow.
we're catching up on the Bywater post here, so we'll that's really cool.
Massive too that he read Children of Húrin.
Yes,
I have started several times and I've never finished.
Same.
I just can't. It's just
those were back. That was
hard.
back before we got into podcasting and stuff.
Yeah.
But I remember being like, oh yeah, I'm really gonna get into this, and I tried my very best. But now, knowing what I know and having done more research and understanding, I think I'm really ready to go. Even understanding, there's guides out there for pronunciations and stuff that you guys would think I would look into more, but I just don't have the time.
And it's like, well, it was
But
just
it's
weird
fun.
for me too. Even the how the world was different. How Middle Earth had a different formation. Then there are places that existed then that don't now, and in the Third Age and.
Right,
man, what a cool story. I love just that detail about his mom having to go to the bathroom and during the suspenseful parts and just couldn't take it,
Yeah. Yes.
I wonder if she watches with you now, Cody. That's what I'd like to know.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you, brother. That's beautiful. We always love, as we say every week, that is our favorite part of every time we meet, is getting to know you all a little better, one at a time.
Yeah.
So, Strawberries with Cream, as if you could lead any army into battle, who would you summon and why?
Easy. This is easy.
Yeah, you're gonna steal my line.
Ewoks.
Okay, I was thinking Middle Earth, but
So sorry, dude. You said if I could lead any
army
into battle.
Okay, cool.
Let me tell you right now.
Would you just get the rocks and
Let me tell you right
spears
now.
out?
Okay. Here's. I mean, so you're one of the 30 in the Grey Company.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So if the Galadriel of Star Wars sent off word that I, Ezra, was in need, that's who would come.
And it would be the passing of the Greylow Company.
The Greylow Company.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's just what that was.
Is that Elvish?
Yup. Yes, that would be there. No, I'm sorry. It's the first thing that popped in my head. But yeah,
I like that. It's beautiful. I would lead an army of hungry hobbits.
That makes sense.
Hangry hobbits.
Makes a lot
I'd say, guys, they got potatoes over there, sausage. Go get them.
That reminds me of the of the Bud Light commercial where the king's giving the speech, right, and he's like, and they've got our beer. And it's like a bunch of peasant people, and they're gonna take on this army because it's like
it's the beer.
Yeah,
the Bud Knight shall lead them.
Potatoes.
Yeah, that's
cool.
Seriously though, I mean, an army of hobbits would be pretty cool.
It would be. We'll get there.
Yeah,
we will.
Something else that you never get to see in film.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, time to share the load, my friend.
Yeah, I mentioned it at the top of the show, which was hours ago. That
it was yesterday.
It was yesterday. Yesterday, I mentioned that.
How weird is that?
We had a great conversation with Sherston, and we learned more about her family.
Mm-hmm.
We learned more about just who she is as a person, her connection to this book club. It's fantastic. It's a great appendices.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that you guys will go check that out on Patreon. I should have it up hopefully shortly after. I think I might push something else that I had talked to you about that we would need heavy editing
on. Yeah.
Heavy editing, and I think I'll just bypass that. Thanks, Sherston, for keeping it clean.
Sherston is actually also thank you always. You know the
Are you
what?
yawning?
Well, it just I couldn't help it. It had nothing to do. It was not related to what we're talking about.
I know.
But she is actually creating or helping create. Can I say this year's party favors for the longest?
Yeah, we can't say what it is, but
I can't say what it is, but it will be
is.
in a way.
She's
it's
inspired it
because it's going to be like
she has inspired it.
the gift from Galadriel kind of deal, and it'll be really cool. Maybe she'll present them too.
Yeah,
with Bill Joe's blessing.
Yep.
Yeah.
There will be gifts given. So, that's exciting. So check that out on patreon.com/uptalking.
Yeah, also, guys, don't forget to visit the Moisty Mountains, best China buffet this side of the Anduin. And what were you going to say?
Make sure you get the crab ragoon, the Goonies.
Crab Rangoonies featuring Shane Asian.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Thought we were drifting off into appendices there again. I bring up appendices and Lane's just like ready to go. So, but no, check that out. We've got some Discord chats up there that were actually really good. A fun time. We're going to have some recordings maybe at the Unexpected Game Night.
Going to get Melkor on there eventually. But
yeah.
I think kind of hard to pin down.
He is, right.
Been gone a while.
We've got like Jessica, Phil, a couple other lined up here, appendices that we're going to be conducting as well. So we finally got
Transverse.
a pretty good...
We're getting Transverse on there.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
We're getting
I have no idea what you're talking
Pterodactyl Man. He's going on.
I have no idea what you're talking about. He's completely gone, guys. He's completely lost it. This man has 2 children he's taking care of.
Goldberry's
taking care of him, and
I'm talking into a mic for 4 hours.
And she's taking care of him.
I think she just did the dishes too. Did you hear that?
I heard her in there.
She's not supposed to do that. It's my job.
How is she up right now?
I think she just put Winnie. She was in my bed and she put her into the crib.
Oh my!
She woke up again. She
woke up.
She's having that like sleep regression. She's having a growth spurt. So
yeah, makes her restless.
Yeah.
Well, hey, kind of like Eowyn, right?
Kind of like.
Yeah.
Just another way she's similar.
Out there.
You want to tell them about the website, dude?
Yeah. I is it live?
Oh, it's up right now.
Is it live right now?
Oh, it's alive.
You're kidding me. Can I just copy and paste that?
Copy and paste if you don't believe me.
I don't. I need to see it before I say it.
Also, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook page at UpTalkinTolkien. The Facebook group is, the page is An Unexpected Podcast, and the group is An Unexpected Podcast Group. Join there. You will be accepted immediately, and you will find a host, a company, a fellowship, almost 900 strong of individuals that will become your best friends, who will support you. And we even have people who just say, hey, I'm having a tough day, send me some love. And 40, 50 comments of people just providing love and encouragement, and it's a true fellowship. So even if you don't like Facebook, you're not alone. It's worth creating as Ezra has, a profile that isn't even real, just to be a part of the group. So
great.
And then
go. Hey, you know what? The website,
and unexpectedpodcast.com. ANUNEXPECTED LOT.com. LOT.com.
LOT. Make sure you put the www on the front.
Okay? http://www. But so that is up and ready to go. Erica Barnes, EB of the UP, Michigan, got that all figured out for us, and we are excited to have it. There's links to the Bywater Post. There are, I believe, episodes there as well. Yeah. There's a bio for us, so you get to, you don't know enough about us already. And what else? We're going to have merchandise available eventually as well, so that'll be really cool that you can order through there. And lots of stuff coming up.
Yeah, it's cool.
Be sure to stay in touch with the Bywater Post newsletter that Jen Shepard puts together for us every month. It's amazing. If you want to send anything our way, and I am behind, we've had 3 or 4 gifts, and anything you guys send us, I try to put on social media because it's just amazing, and I want to show our entire book club what you guys are doing. So I'm behind on a few things we've received, but again, you guys weigh us down. We just got some coasters from Nico.
Oh, really?
And he does like his own kind of like musical podcast thing. And he sent us 9 coasters, and I haven't shared this anywhere yet, but those are going to go in the studio.
That's awesome.
So
yeah,
we will definitely make good use of those. But if you want to send us anything, the Shire, P.O. Box 96, Amanda, Ohio 43102. And it's time for the fortnight farewells.
It's time.
Formerly weekly well wishes. We want to thank you for, yeah.
We do want to thank people for that, but real quick,
Sure.
because you mentioned fortnight farewells.
Because it's not long enough.
It's not long enough. I want to make sure that this hits exactly like 3
4
hours.
4 hours now.
4 hours. No. If you have a chance here, right at the very end, go check out Further Up.
Oh, yeah.
Looking for Lewis.
Yes.
I wanted to mention that because we are doing the fortnight farewells now, and what we're trying to do is here and there, in between, not every week, but here and there, we'll drop like a Narnia episode opposite of our Lord of the Rings episodes. So if you're looking for that weekly situation, some people have been caught up with the podcast. Most people are still very much behind, which is totally okay with us.
I wonder how that happened.
Hours, 3-4 hours go by. Yeah. So, and what I appreciate is that people listen to the whole. I can't believe people listen to the whole thing. That's amazing.
It's unconscionable to me.
Yeah. So sorry to interrupt, but I just thought fortnight farewells. We're back to that for Return of the King and the foreseeable future because we're kind of doing both, and it's a lot of fun.
It's amazing.
It's a lot of fun.
Amazing. And the way Further Up has happened is there's no real set schedule. We record and release just whenever Aslan calls.
Yes.
And it's really fun because we have never read the stories. We don't know what's going on. We're making guesses as we go.
We do that with Goldberry. If you're a fan of Goldberry,
and that was the point I was driving home to.
Yes.
No, just Goldberry is there, and you get to hear her every episode, and it's the dynamic of 3 is just
it's power 3.
It's awesome.
It's fun,
and
it's a lot of fun. It's actually a lot of fun, and
we're talking about the show that's coming out too, and we're finally getting some news about that.
Yeah.
The Netflix.
I have different
Narnia
emotion,
show.
completely different vibe and feel when I'm in that podcast. So you guys should.
Well, and the cool thing is so you always take the wheel here and sort of guide through the chapter. And I was like, I really want to do that for Narnia. I want to do that so you guys can be free, because I just get to, fire off my hot takes
to get
on stuff.
Stoked and pumped about it's awesome.
And so I was like, I want to do that in Narnia. I want to I'll take us through the plot points.
Yeah.
And I want Sarah and Ez to have the freedom to elaborate and make those connections that just blow our minds, and they do.
Well,
and they do.
It'll really blow your mind because you'll be like, Ez, you don't know anything that's coming up. I am so thrown by the witch that we have in the first book. So just go check that out.
It's a lot of fun.
It is.
It's really cool.
But subscribe. You need to subscribe to it because then you'll know when an episode drops. Mm-hmm. And typically it'll be, like I said, that week in between there, but it'll probably be,
give us a couple weeks to get,
because we just kind of started to get that going, opposite of the Fortnite stuff here with us. So okay.
So we want to thank you for, taking paths less traveled. Next time we're going to be in chapter 3, mustering all of our strength.
We're going to need it.
The muster of Rohan.
Absolutely. We're going to need it.
Yeah.
If you like our podcast, don't forget to subscribe, like us, write a review, leave a comment, or send us a shadow fax.
And this is a week early, but if anyone wants to patent a product called the Mustard of Rohan, I'm in. We'll see you in a fortnight. And remember, Frodo lives.
Hey, you want to do that? You want to do your rap for Rebecca? You want to out rap her?
We got two different beats going.
I don't know what's happening.
But that's okay, because when Brodo gets flowing, it's like the end of when might have word, then thinking I can't get it in because the ring won't come off, but I throw it into the little hole of doom. And man, I tell you what, that volcano goes boom.
Yeah.
Where's Gollum? He's no more, my friend. He's gone. He's now a part of the East Wind. Whoa.
Yeah.
I'm like on the bus writing lyrics. Gonna jump in. I'm fighting that Gondolin. No, wait, is it Gondor? Cause I want some more door. I got my ring and I'm going to. That Mount Doom wanna come too? I bet you don't, unless your name's Samwise, and it ain't wise to go right into the eyes of Sauron. He's gonna see you wherever you are. Believe me, I've been there in the land of fuck, and now I'm back to my man at the Shire. Couldn't even get no higher, cause I'm on that Toby shit. Oh yeah, I smoke it till I cannot quit. And quit. And quit, and quit, and quit. I'm too legit, Brodo Swaggins.